How's everybody doing? We're coming to the end of Taurus season. We're about to enter Gemini season. A lot of very fast, quick changes that are coming for a lot of people. Moments of emancipation of freedom, a huge pivot point. This Gemini season is gonna have a lot of people pivoting suddenly, deciding, I want to do this, I want to do that, I'm gonna do this. So one of the things you just definitely want to be mindful of this week as we ingress into Gemini season as the Sun and Uranus come into conjunction is kind of just impulsive decision making or being too loose with the tongue and saying things without running them through a filter. We're gonna have Mercury, Sun, and Uranus and Gemini all sandwiched together, I believe. Let me see. Hold on. Let me pull up the chart so I can see what's going on this week. Hi, Helen. Hi, my love. How are you? Yeah, we have Mercury already in Gemini. We have Mercury, Uranus in Gemini. Anybody have trouble sleeping last night? Anybody feel very restless? Their nervous system has been a little erratic. They've been feeling a little anxious, a little paranoid, or just really excited, really excitable. We have Uranus, Mercury in Gemini, and the moon has been in Gemini as well. So there's been a lot of kind of stimulating Gemini energy. The sun is going to be going into Gemini very soon. Mercury, Uranus, and Gemini brings what do you call this? Unstable mind, erratic nervousness. Nervous system is a little on edge when Mercury and Uranus are together, especially in the sign of Gemini. And just overall, just a lot of information, a lot of movement, a lot of activity right now. We're going to be seeing this week as we ingress into Gemini season. Anna said, "I'll take any energy other than Aries season energy." Well, we have Mars at 29 degrees, so I'll talk about Mars at 29 degrees as well, and Mars going to Taurus. So we're going to talk about that. But before we dive into the astrology of the week, we are going to be tapping into some tarot, and we're going to be pulling an oracle card. Hi guys, I'm so excited to be here. Finally, it's been a while. Thank you for being here, Misa. Fell asleep really easy yesterday. Love that for you. Someone said, "Yep, couldn't sleep." Hello, 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 hello. I'm just waving at everybody. Okay, so before we talk about the astrology, let's go and pull some cards. Let's see what Spirit has to say about the energy of this week. I cannot believe that car alarm is still going off. There's been this car, it's Mars at 29 degrees, I swear. There's been this car that's been going off since 7 in the morning. And it like the alarm will go off for like 20 minutes and then it'll stop for like 2 or 3 minutes and then it starts back up again. If you pull a two of cups, all you've been seeing lately, I wouldn't. That'd be funny if it came out. Like, when was it? Last week or the week before last, where I was talking about a tarot card? I think I was talking about like the Judgment card or the Death card or something. And it ended up coming out, and I was like, I keep seeing this. I kept seeing the card in my mind's eye, and then I ended up actually pulling it. That happens with tarot. A lot of times with tarot, like you'll see a card, especially if you've been, practicing and if you've been building a relationship with the tarot. You'll start seeing a card in your mind's eye, and then when you go and pull cards, it'll come out. It'll be like the first card out. Um, that's really funny. All right, let's see. Let's see what cards come out. Let's see what Spirit has to say. Spirit, give us some guidance for the week. Give us some insight into the week. Anybody that's going to be watching this, what's some guidance, some wisdom, some insight, some support that we can give them for this upcoming week? Oh, then there is some some police alarm or police sirens now. It's 29-degree Mars, my loves. 29-degree Mars today. Crisis is in the air. Energy of emergency, crisis, panic, chaos. I was watching second season of Devil May Cry, this anime that's on Netflix. It just came out, the second season. And one of the old gods, he's literally the god of chaos, and like his whole purpose is to bring like chaos and rain down to earth. And it's so funny because like as an astrologer that sees astrology everywhere, whenever I'm watching like anime shows or shows, I'm always like connecting them to like archetypes, and I'm always like, okay, where's Aries energy showing up, or where's like Mercury energy showing up, you know? So Devil May Cry, it's like it's a story of two brothers, Gemini, okay? But then you have this Aries influence, you know, there's this Saturn in Aries, there's this Aries influence of like the deceased father, you know, the stepfather that's kind of like abusive, who killed the mother. It's like this really interesting, but it's like this really interesting story, but you can kind of fill in the archetypes. You can fill in the signs archetypes into the shows and the movies that you watch, you know. But yeah, the god of chaos, Mars, 29 degrees, you know. All right, let's go and pull some cards. I've been shuffling these enough, I think. Mars is at 29 degrees Aries right now. We have King of Wands in reverse. Let me put the Oracle deck right here. King of Wands in reverse, Queen of Cups upright, Ace of Cups in reverse, Ace of Wands upright. Ooh, this feels like Ace of Wands upright, Lead Justice card in reverse, Queen of Wands upright. So we have like a lot of up, down, up, down, up, down. So we have the first card in reverse, second card upright, third card in reverse, fourth card upright, fifth card in reverse, sixth card upright. This is a very rare thing. I do not see this very often where I have reverse, upright, reverse, upright, like back to back to back. This is like a very rare thing. You know what? In the two of cups in reverse for Misa. Seven of Pentacles on the bottom of the deck. Two of cups in reverse for Misa. And then we have the five of wands. Okay. You know what? You know what this tells me? You know what this tells me? This is about situations or issues that we're dealing with, and this looks like relational. Libra card in reverse. This looks like relationship stuff. Two of cups in reverse. Five of wands in reverse. This looks like like stuff. I don't want to say that. I was ready to say it shit, but I said it anyways. But anyways, this looks like fighting and arguing about the same shit. This looks like going back and forth over like the same stuff. This looks like we're mad, we're frustrated, or irritated about stuff that hurt our feelings, about stuff that we're frustrated. King of Wands in reverse, Queen of Cups upright. You do these things that hurt my feelings, you know. I do everything for you. I try to help you out. I try to support you. I'm there. I'm hanging in there. I'm patient. I'm invested. Queen of Cups upright, but then King of Wands in reverse. You always do you know you're mean, you're arrogant, you're selfish, you're egotistical. This just kind of feels like we're going back and forth with people that really don't understand or honor or see us emotionally. Okay? This is about a lack of compassion and empathy happening in the space between two people. So this week, we need to be mindful of how we are building a bridge of connection with those around us. How do we repair? How do we fix? How do we forgive? But also, Queen of Wands upright, Justice card in reverse, Ace of Wands. We're not putting up with people's bullshit anymore. This continuous thing of like, oh, let me just forgive you. Let me just forgive you. Let me just, let me just absorb it. Let me just suck it up. Let me just, take one for the team. Let me just silence myself to keep the peace. Let me just avoid the conflict just because I want to, things to be grounded and like no, we can't keep doing this this like forgiveness, apologizing without corrective action or giving forgiveness when we're not seeing improvement. We can't keep doing this like compassion, forgiveness, understanding thing when it's not being reciprocated, when it's not being mutually reciprocated or mutually given. So this is about imbalance in relationships where we need to take action and we need to be proactive in order to do our best to achieve balance. But I also just genuinely think that some people this week don't want peace. They don't. Some people want war. Some people want individuation or separation. Some people want to do their own thing. Some people want to be by themselves. Some people are kind of consumed maybe by selfish desire, or some people are just really entrenched in their own idea, their own perception, their own ego, their own perspective, their own corner of the boxing ring. They're like, I'm sticking to this corner. I'm sticking to this, my point. I'm sticking to my perspective. I'm gonna fight we're gonna box again over this thing, okay? And it just kind of feels like it feels like we're trying to push through something that we're finding it really hard to push through with somebody else in particular. This feels like a relational thing, okay? I'm gonna speak to a few different parts of this because I do think, or parts of this reading, because I do think this is like for different people. There's different parts of this reading that are meant for different people, okay? The first is we have to learn to accept people for who they are, as they are, and for like what they want. And we have to objectively take a look at people and we have to kind of judge them based off of their patterns, based off of their routines, based off of their repeated behavior. So, what's really important this week is to be discerning around your perception of those around you and to trust your judgment and to trust that what you're observing or what you're feeling or what you're seeing about this person, especially if it's been a pattern, if you're able to have receipts, if you have evidence, if you're able to show, like, look at this. We got dates going back 6 years. On this date you did this, on this date you said this, and we're just kind of like holding people accountable to the truth, to the pattern, to the history. What it kind of feels like is there's this energy in the air this week of folks wanting to shift the narrative to make themselves look favorable or wanting to shift the narrative so that they have a sense of power or so that they feel right or that so they can excuse like bad behavior. And what Spirit is saying is no. There's this energy of people, King of Wands in reverse, people that are very egotistical, people that are selfish, people that are self-absorbed, or people that are guilty about something. There's this energy of them not wanting to confess, not wanting to tell the truth, them not wanting to be seen. King of Wands in reverse. I don't want to be seen. I want to hide what I did. I want to hide my actions. I want to hide whatever. And this stuff, Spirit is saying, no, we're bringing this stuff to light. Let me open up this window because it's getting hot in here. Ugh. I That car siren, that car alarm is still going. I gotta close the window again. Oh my God, I can't believe that car alarm is still going. Sorry, it's just like this Mars thing has been irritating me all morning since like 7 in the morning when it woke me up. Um, so the King of Wands in reverse, there's people that are wanting to kind of hide their actions or deeds. They're wanting to cover up things that they've said or done with ego, arrogance, pride, stuff like this. And what Spirit is saying is like we need to be very honest with who people are and we need to hold them accountable this week. There's this energy of with the Justice card in reverse. There's this energy of getting to the truth of what's happening in relationships, getting to the truth of what happened with like legal affairs as well. So there could be some kind of like legal movement. We may see some kind of realizations or epiphanies, or there may be some kind of solutions that come with legal matters or something like this. But this could also be Ace of Wands, Justice card reverse. I'm taking this person to court. I'm filing the paperwork. I'm moving forwards with legal means, or I'm taking this issue to higher authority because I don't have the tools or resources necessary to deal with this. And if I'm gonna deal with it, we're gonna be fighting and arguing. So let's go ahead and get an attorney. Let's go ahead and get a mediator. Let's go ahead and reach out to a boss or a leader possibly so that we can have them mediate or have them kind of, try to resolve or fix things, okay? One of the things I want to say about this reading and how it connects to the astrology of the moment. We're about to have Sun, Mercury. Well, we already have Mercury in Gemini, but we're about to have Sun, Mercury, and Uranus in Gemini. Mars is about to move into Taurus, but we do have Saturn in Aries and Mars in Aries. And this combination of kind of like Gemini, Aries energy, it's very mischievous, it's very playful, but it's very individualistic. And I want you guys to understand something right now. We are in this period where people are trying to individuate themselves, or they're trying to step into the fullness of their own unique, independent, authentic identity. And this looks like a lot of people rebelling against the relationships that they are in. So it's kind of like people rebelling against the role of being a parent, or maybe people rebelling against the role of being a child, or maybe people rebelling against the role of being an employee, or even rebelling against the role that they've played as a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a mother, a father, or things like this energy is pushing people to liberate themselves from the roles or identities that they play in other people's lives that they feel kind of imprisoned or stuck in, or that don't feel genuine or true to them, or aren't honoring or seeing them. And also, within those kind of roles, those identity spaces, people are also trying to expand and grow in those spaces as well. Which it would let me explain. So they want to be the mom that they want to be. They don't want to be the mom that society tells them to be. Oh, they want to be the child that they want to be, right? They don't want to just be the cookie cutter child that is like part of the archetype or that others expect them to be, right? So it's kind of like people are trying to discover and authentically define themselves within these roles, which is also looking like a little bit of like a rebellion thing. Okay. It's looking like a little bit of a rebellion thing. And what I have to say to this is we need to let our relationships with others evolve. And this is a message that actually came through in the shower. For those of you that have been watching my Monday lives, one of the things is that before I do a live, I always take a shower in the morning. I take a shower before the live to get some downloads from the water element. 'Cause I'm a watery being. I'm a Neptunian guy. I'm a Pisces rising. I'm a Scorpio stellium. So a lot of my information, a lot of downloads I get is from the water element. Okay. So one of the downloads that came through this morning, which is kind of coming full circle at this, is letting our relationships with others evolve. We want to keep our relationships with people the same. We want them to remain the same. We want our kids to never grow up. We want our spouses to always be that sweet, kind person they were when we first got married to them or when we first met them. We want, our mother or our father to be someone that they've never been. We would have a delusional desire for them to be someone other than they are, right? All this, but let me tell you what this does. This creates disassociation from truth associated with who these people actually are. It also prevents our relationships with them from evolving and growing, right? And this is a very difficult thing for many parents as well. This is something I think I've talked about. I don't know if I talked about it last week or the week before, but I think I did talk about this. When your child becomes an adult, your relationship with them as a parent is going to evolve, whether you like it or not. And because a lot of parents, they don't know how to let go of the power and the control. They don't know how to let go of the influence. They don't know how to let go of their role or responsibility of being a parent. When it's time for their child to evolve and become an adult, and it's time for the parent-child relationship to evolve, they won't let it. They don't allow it to, right? And so what happens typically, especially, around, 18 to like 24, 25, is there's a total complete breakdown of the parental child relationship, and then it needs to be fully rebuilt, right? And that's usually what you'll see. You'll see, I don't know, you guys can tell me, maybe you've experienced this yourself. There'll be a total disconnect from a rebelling against the parent. And then there's like okay, now you got to meet the new me as an adult. Now you got to meet the new me in my 20s, where the child is reintroducing themselves to the parent as like an individual. And the parent has to be like, okay, well, you're no longer my child. You're not the person that I raised. You're someone else. And it can be very difficult, very hard, and very, very hard and very heartbreaking as well. It's really interesting because over the last few days, there's been some Instagram videos that have come across my feed, or some reels that have come across my feed where, there's like a mother, she's like replaying all the video footage of her kids as children, and she's like, I miss these years, or I miss these times, or don't take these times for granted because they're gonna pass really fast, and then she pants like her adult kids, they're all in the car on their phone compared to when they were young and they were in the car. They're all laughing and playing together and all this, right? And there is a certain element of grief and sadness that also comes with having to mourn how our relationships or how our connections with others evolve. And I think that's what many people are also dealing with at this time. I think many people are grieving relationships of old or relationships of the past, but relationships that are still current. They're still in them, but they're still grieving the old version of that connection, or they're grieving the old version of that relationship because it's different now. It looks different now. You guys are both different people now, right? So this is understanding that even in relationships that you're in, as they age and get older, right? Your friendships, your parent-child relationships, even your relationship with a job or a boss or whatever, those relationships are going to go through phases. And you're going to have to sometimes grieve or mourn the old version of that relationship, or even the old person that you used to know, the old person that they used to be, the old person that you used to be, because time has an inevitable way of transforming and changing us. And we don't even notice it. We don't even see it. Time is just passing, doing its thing. And in that passing of time, there is evolution and transformation and change happening. And the most immediate place that we see it is in relationships. It really is. And what Spirit is saying with this reading is we need to give permission for our relationships to evolve, especially this week. And we need to understand that the people that we were in the past is not the people that we are now. And the people that we've known or the people that we've connected to in the past are not the same people of today. And it can be really hard when a relationship is evolving out of your life, when a relationship is showing you, or when spirit and time is showing you, hey, guess what? This connection, this relationship, there needs to be a breaking point, there needs to be a dramatic change, or it needs to go. And it's very scary when we're being shown that a relationship is evolving out of our life, or it's evolving in a way where there's more separation and more distance, or more tension or more conflict. And a lot of times, the tension, the conflict, the anxiety, the stress, the sadness, the grief, the intensity, the anger, the fighting, 501s in reverse, of a relationship is showing us that this is something that is not meant to come with this. It's showing us that we're supposed to be letting this person go, or we're supposed to be taking some space from this person, or we're supposed to be moving apart from them, right? And it's really hard to honor the separation and the letting go and the releasing and the closure of things. As human beings, we, especially in Western culture, we don't like to let go. We like to hold on. We don't like things to evolve or change. We want things to stay the same. Because why? Holding on and things staying the same gives us a false sense of safety and security. It gives us a sense of stability. It gives us a sense of stability. It's a false sense of stability though, right? Because the truth is that everything is can change. Anything can change at the drop of a dime. From one day to the next, your whole life could be totally different. One little thing. Our lives are like we think they're brick houses, right? But no, our lives are really built out of straw. Like our lives are really built out of straw. One little gust of wind comes and your whole house can be blown down very easily, you know? And we tend to think that everything is so stable, is so grounded, is everything is so, impenetrable. We tend to think that we have these brick houses that are so strong and so resilient, right? But my beloved, let me tell you something. The truth of the matter is we're all living in a straw house. Okay. And at any moment in time, life can bring a gust of wind that just blows everything down, and everything in your life can be uprooted and shifted and changed from one day to the next. And that's not meant to bring any fear and anxiety. That's meant to bring us this truth about life, that things are never fully grounded or stable or steady, right? And this includes our relationships. You know, we put a lot on people, we put a lot on others, we depend and rely on others. And a lot of us, a lot of people, they make someone part of their foundation. Like, you, you are my spouse, you are my husband, you are my whatever. You are part of my foundation. You are part of this house that I built, right? You are the cornerstone of my life. And so many people, they literally build their life around someone. Well, I've been afraid of changing 'cause I've built my life around you. But time makes it older, even children, right? I built my life around you. So many people build their life around others, or they center their life around others. Okay. But what happens? What happens when that person, when life takes them somewhere else? Or when life has a different mission for them, where life is calling them to change or evolution, or life is calling them to something else? You see what I'm saying? Then the way that we focused our life around them, guess what? They take our life with them. Our life that we built around them, when they go, our life is going with them. And we have nothing. We're left with nothing, right? This is why it's super important to honor the truth that everyone is an individual, and that everyone has free will, and that everyone at any moment in time could decide that, hey, you know what? I don't want to be a part of your life anymore. And here you were building your whole life around this person. And then from one day to the next, they decide, you know what? I want something different for my life. I have a different vision. I have a different desire. I have a different calling for my life. Right. And it's heartbreaking. If you had centered your life around that person, they told you that, it's heartbreaking. It's devastating. Right. But also, as spiritual beings, those of us that are walking the spiritual path, we have to understand that there is a risk that we take with centering people in our life. The risk is that at any moment in time, the way that we center them in our life, they could decide that they want something else, right? And we got to be prepared for any day where the person that we center our life around, for the day that they leave or the day that they go, right? This is why we always got to have like a backup plan. This is why we always got to have these alternative ways of seeing things. This is why we can't focus or build too much of our life around people. You know, we can't depend too much on people. The Seven of Wands, I got the Seven of Wands here, and this is the Seven of Wands gave me a message around dependency. Like, I depend on this person. I depend on this person for money. I depend on this person for a living situation. I depend on this person to make decisions for me. I depend on this person to bring me safety and security. I depend. So there's this energy of dependence that's coming through, like the things that we depend on others for, right? But let me tell you something. When you're outsourcing too much of your own personal responsibility, if you are too dependent on others to the point where you have no independence, you are putting yourself at risk. Because the things that we depend on are also changeable and can also go from one moment to the next. You know what I mean? I was watching this really sad Instagram. I don't know what it was, but this new moon on Saturday, this new moon had me crying all morning, and I was just watching sad videos. I don't know if it could have been because of a conversation I had on Friday night with a friend, and then Instagram was just listening and started showing me all these videos on Saturday morning. I don't know, but there was this guy, this video of this homeless guy, and he was young. He's like in his 20s. And he said that, his mom, he was giving cancer energy. He was bald and he was all pasty. But he was giving cancer energy. He said his mom passed away of cancer when he was in his early 20s. And she was his whole world. She provided everything for him. She gave him everything. She kind of, the way he explained it when he was being interviewed was, my mom protected me and sheltered me from the world. So my mom was my world. She gave me everything. She provided everything for me. She was always there for me. She was my best friend. So then when she passed, his safety net just totally disappeared. And that's how he ended up on the streets. He had no place to go. He had no place to live, right? Because his mom had been the main provider. So he was 100% dependent on her, really. And she raised them in that way as well to kind of be dependent. So he also talked about how when she passed, he wasn't prepared for the world. And that's how he ended up homeless because he just didn't have any of the life skills because his mom took care of everything, right? So when we're talking about this energy of dependence, we're talking about this energy of we rely on people, we depend on others, but that dependency also puts us at risk because at any moment in time, the people that we're reliant or dependent upon, they could go. And once they go, and we have just us, right, to take care of ourselves, many of us, we don't have the skills, we don't have the tools, we don't have the resources or the wherewithal to be able to care for ourselves and be fully independent in those situations. So what Spirit is saying is with the Queen of Wands upright, there's this energy of we need to reclaim our autonomy. We need to reclaim our individuality and we need to reclaim our own independence. It's very important because when we are dependent on others, right, we kind of give them the power, we give them the control a lot of times, and we put ourselves in a state of powerlessness, we put ourselves in a state of vulnerability, we put ourselves in a state of risk, right? And there's a lot of times when we are dependent on others because they have the power in that connection, because we're relying on them, right, for something. Um, we also lose power. We lose autonomy. We lose agency, right? And that's another thing that Spirit is saying is there's this need to reclaim our power, our autonomy, or agency this week. There's a need to, really trust in our own individual will. Queen of Wands in upright. There's a need to kind of trust in our own individual capability, trust in our independence, and even the idea that you can do it alone or you could do it by yourself, right? That's a very important thing. Spirit is also saying, you know, are we choosing war or choosing peace? And if we're going to war, why? Why are we going to war? And does war ultimately bring the resolution that we're looking for? Or does peace bring the resolution that we're looking for? If we're going to war for something, it's usually because we want to conquer or win. So if you are going to war, let's say you're going to war legally. Let's say you're going to go to war against a business that let you go or that you got fired from, and now you're taking the whatever, right? You got to think about the end goal. What do you desire to win? What are you trying to achieve? What are you trying to accomplish? What is the end goal of the war? Okay? What are you trying to and if you can't find a reason or a purpose, if there's no objective, if there's no objective, like if you're not trying to win something, if there's nothing you're trying to win, then stop. Why go to war? Don't do it. You're wasting your energy, you're wasting your time, you're only creating more conflict, you're really only creating more of an issue, and you're only exacerbating problems or issues that are not going to be solved through war. Okay? If it's peace that you seek, you got to understand two things. Okay? The first is you cannot seek peace with those that are at war with themselves, and you cannot seek peace with those that only know how to deal with life through conflict. Let me tell you, some of you are trying to achieve peace or compromise or get to a place of like equilibrium and stability with someone that is not unstable. or that is not stable, as I would say. Someone that's not stable, someone that's living in survival energy, someone that is, thinks everyone's the enemy or everyone's out to get them, okay? Or thinks that like life is about war and conflict, and the way that you achieve things, the way you accomplish things is through war and conflict. There are people that live like this. The King of Wands is one of these people. Okay, the King of Wands is one of these people. The King of Wands, especially when he's in reverse, he's like, I have to conquer and I have to conquer the world, or the world's going to conquer me. And people that live like this, a lot of times, they go around starting fights, causing arguments, lighting fires, being defensive, being on the attack, whatever, because deep down inside they have a deep fear, okay, of not being seen, not being recognized, not being honored, but they also have a deep fear of not getting what they want. And a lot of these people, they thrive off of conflict because their survival energy is like, we when we win, we are successful, right? When we, win the war, we win the conflict, whatever, I get paid, I get success, I get whatever, right? You got to understand this. A lot of people like this, especially in the workplace, they operate like this. They're operating from a place of survival, and they're operating from a place of a dog eat dog world. Fuck the person next to me, as long as I get the position, as long as I get the raise, as long as I get the sale, right? There's a lack of human compassion. There's a lack of, and a lot of these people, they've grown up like this. They were raised like this. Their parents were like this. Their grandparents were like this, right? Their first generation, second generation, they literally had to grow up in a way where survival was like the thing, right? So it's hard to make peace with people that live in the energy of war and conflict. You can't do it. That's not the way that they are. They're living in survival, right? The other thing, though, is understanding quite possibly how you can be embodying this energy, right? So this could also be you. This could also be like, well, I'm in this place of hyper survival energy. I'm in this place of hyper independence. I'm in this place of I gotta like, do what I gotta do in order to get by. So you're not letting people in. You're not building bridges. You're not forgiving. You're not, building relationships. You're not trying to sustain them, or even you're not trying to let them evolve. You want to hold power. You want to have control in the relationship. You want to dominate the relationship. You want to force things. No, you're going to be like this. You're going to be with me. We're going to do this. It's like, that's not good either. That doesn't work either. None of this is working. Okay. Conflict resolution, peacekeeping, forgiveness. Okay. Also, closure, release, surrender. These are things that we need to also detachment. Another word that came to me was detachment. These are kind of like strategies that we need to go to in order to solve some of the problems this week that we're having in the space of relationships. Okay. Um, Mercury's also in Gemini, so we need to talk things through. Spirit is also saying we need better boundaries in our relationship. So Spirit is saying this week, Seven of Wands in reverse, Five of Wands in reverse. We need better boundaries in our relationships. We also need to understand that sometimes boundaries are about disconnect and silence. And sometimes we just need space or distance from people in order to allow the energy of like healing and understanding to come into the relationship. Okay. Um, some of you, death card in reverse, some of you guys are you're resisting the ending. You're resisting the transformation the relationship is trying to go through. You're resisting the evolution that your life is trying to go through. And it's interesting because this evolution is tied to people. Once you start to transform and change, once you deeply inside yourself, you start to evolve and change. The first place that you're going to see change at like the domino effect, you know where the domino effect happens? In your relationship life and the people you're connected with. When you start to transform and change as a person, when you really start to work on yourself, when you're like, I want to be a better person, I want to be, I'm going to work on my confidence, I'm going to work on my self esteem, I'm going to work on my whatever, whatever, right? When you start to work on yourself, it shows up in your relationship life. It does. Because let me tell you why. When you start to work on yourself, when you become more confident, when you become more independent, when you become more successful, when you start working on your skin, whatever, whatever, your weight, whatever, okay? The people that reflected the old you, you're no longer going to resonate with. Those people of the old you were a reflection of your old energy. They were a reflection of your old paranoias, your old anxieties, your old issues, your old behavior, personality stuff. Okay. And a lot of times, what you'll notice, it's so interesting. I don't know if you guys have noticed this. When you go back to hang out with people of your past, they will bring out those old qualities of you that you may no longer be, but because those people know you in that way, and because you want to make them feel comfortable, you will default to those behaviors, those patterns, those ways of being. Okay, they will bring you back to your old self. They will activate your old self. Okay, so we have to understand, as spiritual beings, as those that are hopefully, we're trying to collectively be better and do better by ourselves, or we're trying to become better people. In that process, in that journey of personal evolution, you're going to attract people that are matching you at your energetic level, that are matching your frequency, that are matching your personality, your character, the ways that you've worked on yourself. So when you start to work on yourself, let's say you struggle with confidence, right? Let's say you struggle with confidence. You've always struggled with confidence, but you've been working on your confidence. You become more confident, become more confident, become more confident over the last 5 years, 10 years, whatever, right? So you start to notice that, guess what? The friends that you're connected to now are confident. Everyone's super confident and living out loud, and they're not shy. And when you go out with your new friends, everyone's like seeing, and everyone, you go out and get a table, and no one's like, right? But then with your old friends are what? You'll notice they have no confidence, because your old friends were a reflection of the old you that lacked confidence. And whenever you go back to hang out with your old friends, guess what? They're doing unconfident things. So they're acting oh, don't be too loud. Oh, don't be too this, don't be too that. They're monitoring you. They're trying to police you. They're trying to tell you to be quiet. They're trying to tell you to tone it down. They're trying to tell you, oh, wait, don't get too much attention. They're trying to shrink you and make you feel small, because they're not comfortable with you living in your light, living in your confidence. This happens a lot. And we have a hard time with the letting go process. A lot of times we want to bring these people with us. Oh, I want you to come with me on my confidence journey. Oh, come with me on my spiritual journey. Oh, come with me on my health journey. No, no, they're not meant to come with you. If they want to come with you, they will, and they'll be proactive about it. But a lot of times we're over there trying to drag these people with us. Come on, come with me. Please be better and do better for yourself. Please evolve with me. Please heal with me. Please transform with me. And you can't. Yeah, I'm telling you, you can't. You're gonna waste so much time and energy. It has to be something that comes from within. It has to be of their own volition. It has to be something that they desire, that they want from themselves. You cannot plant your desires into other people. You can want what's best for others. You can want them to do but everyone is on their own unique journey. Okay. Everyone's on their own unique journey. And we need to honor that, and not everyone's ready. Okay. And what Spirit is saying is like, with this reading right now, Spirit is saying is like, many of you are having a hard time accepting the fact that certain people are not meant to come with you. And certain people are the way that they are. And they don't want to be different. They are making the choice every day to be that person. And even if that choice, that person that they're choosing to be every day is toxic and unhealthy and vile and jealous and whatever, we still got to love them for it. We still got to love them for it. Because they're only human. We're not perfect. They're not perfect. We can still love them. It is possible. Does that mean you have to have a close, intimate relationship with them? Does that mean you got to be on the phone with them every day? Does that mean you got to do everything for them and take them everywhere and hang out with them? No, it doesn't. Sometimes loving people is about loving them from a distance and loving them through no contact. Sometimes that's what it's about. But it's about also understanding that we need to let we need to give people the opportunity to evolve and change as well, right? And sometimes the opportunity to evolve and change is giving them the distance and the space to figure it out by themselves, to not try to micromanage or not try to intervene or not try to, oh, let me help you do this, let me blah, 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 and I have this program for you and I have no. Sometimes what people really need is to be left alone. Ah, capiche? Go do your own thing, live your life. Okay, if you think your joy, if you think your growth, if you think your healing, if you think your love is over there, go look for it over there. Then go. I bid you farewell. I free you. I free you. And this is what liberation looks like. You know, sometimes we need to set people free. And the best thing that we can do for us and for them is to free them. Go. Here, little fishy, go in the river, go in the ocean, go where you need to go in order to figure yourself out. I have nothing for you. I've done everything I could. I've tried to help you. I've tried to fix this. I've tried to be patient. I've tried to forgive you. I've tried to, and we're exerting all this energy, we're exerting all this energy, we're burning all this energy for what? For more frustration, for more disappointment, for more sadness, for more grief. Mm-mm. Look at this, the Nine of Cups. Come on now, what do we, it's like many of us, we want magic and miracles in our life. We want to experience a miracle. We want to experience a blessing. We want to experience a divine moment of serendipitous beauty. I always think of like, always whenever I think of like serendipity, I always think of like, the rom-com movies where they're on a subway and then they are just passing by each other. And if he had left 10 minutes, later, and if she had left 10 minutes earlier or whatever, they would have never met. It's like I always think of these beautiful serendipitous moments. That's what the Nine of Cups give. The Nine of Cups is like the miracle card, it's the magic card. The Nine of Cups is called the wishing card. Okay. It's the energy of the wishing well, and it has a lot to do with miracles and magic and things coming to fruition that are like kind of like blessed and divine, right? A lot of us, we want this, right? But you know what? You know why we don't experience these things or get these things is because we don't make space for them. We don't make space. We don't make space. We don't make the space in our life for a blessing or a miracle to manifest, because we're holding on to dead shit, dead emotions, relationships that are dead, we're jobs that are dead, dead energy. It's dead energy. It's ill. It's ucky. It's mulch. It's dead. There's nothing there. There's nothing for you there. There's no life that can come from it. What do we got to do? Let it go, grieve it, purge it, release it, cleanse it, have a funeral for it, whatever you got to do, because this is what makes space for Nine of Cups things, for miracles, for magic, for blessings. It's crazy. A lot of people are like, oh my God, my dream job came through and I let go of that shitty one. I had to trust and let go. Spirit was telling me, let go of this job. Let it go. Let it go. I let it go. A month, 2 months later, my dream job showed up, right? I went through that divorce. I went through that separation. A year later, I met the man of my dreams. You know, like it's crazy how it works. It's crazy how it works. But before you can pick something new up or allow something new to manifest and grow, you got to let go of the old thing. It's just the way it is. It's one of the laws of the universe. You know what I mean? Also, the other thing is, I think, and then gonna get to the astrology because we're about an hour into a tarot reading. There's no reason why this should be about an hour, but here we are. um, the other thing is things that block your light or things that don't make you feel confident or things that don't make you feel seen or joyous. I have the strength card in reverse. And what this is giving me is like we need to be mindful of we need to reclaim our energy or reclaim our time, reclaim our sense of self from the things that don't make us feel confident, that don't see us, that don't celebrate us, that don't make us feel like that don't bring life. It's not building us up. It's not making us feel seen. It's not making us feel warm. It's not making us feel celebrated. It's like it's if it makes us feel down, if it makes us feel depressed, if it makes us feel negative, if it makes us feel neglected, if it makes us feel rejected, if it's giving us the energy of rejection, neglect, I don't see you, I don't love you, I don't appreciate you. If it's giving us that energy, it is what it is. We need to honor it. That's what it is. It doesn't respect you. It doesn't value you. It doesn't appreciate you. It is what it is. You're not delusional in your experience. Okay. But what's the corrective course of action? What are you going to do about it? You're just going to sit in it? You're just going to sit in the disrespect? You're going to sit in the lack of worth and the lack of value? You're going to sit in the you don't see me, you don't value me, you don't appreciate. You're just going to sit in that? I don't know. It's a little weird. You got to go. Spirit is saying you got to reclaim your energy, reclaim your time, reclaim your life, reclaim your identity. There's definitely some kind of reclamation that needs to be happening. Okay, this is what this looks like. We got to reclaim ourselves, our confidence, our ability to be admired, our even celebrated. Like, why are we entertaining relationships or connections with people that can't celebrate us, that don't celebrate us? They don't see us. They don't honor us. They don't put us on a pedestal. They don't have to worship us, but damn, like, where's the respect? Where's the admiration? Like, I miss the good old days and love when someone used to really like go out of their way to show you like I love you and I care for you. I'm gonna get you. Let me get you a chariot. Let me get you 10 horses. Let me get you a 40-person mariachi. I'm gonna throw you a party. I'm gonna get you a car. Let me buy you a house to show you that I love you. What happened to those days? You can't even get a fucking McDonald's breakfast out of a man nowadays. You can't even get him to pay for your Uber. These men are so broke and so cheap. It's so tacky. Ugh, it's gross. What happened to those days when people really valued others? I value you. I value you so much. Let me put it into paper. I value you so much. Let me show you how much I value. Let me buy you this thing that's like $1 million, right? Like, what happened to those days? Men want that for themselves. Yeah, they're so selfish. It's ridiculous. Okay, let's go ahead. That wraps up the tarot reading for today. Before I get on a rant, before I start ranting. All right, let's go ahead and pull an oracle card. Then we're gonna talk about the astrology. Men want that for themselves. Yeah, men are so like they're all broke. They're all broke mentality. Materialistic broke mentality. They forgot the value of Venus. We forgot the value of Venus, man. Venus, when you really appreciate or love someone, Venus, you respect them, you abide by their morals, you abide by their ethics, you follow the rules of a relationship, the rules of engagement. Broke and broken. All right, let's go ahead and pull an oracle card. Let's see what's the oracle card for the week, Spirit. Oh, transmute. Perfect. Look at the card that flew out. Transmute. And then we got the beautiful snake on the deck or on the card because why? Transmutation, transformation, Scorpio energy, snake energy. So this is card number 44. the card that came out for the week is Transmute. And this is about evolution and transformation. This is about the shedding of old skin. So the download I got is we're peeling off layers. I'm literally seeing flakes of skin shedding off of our bodies. And I'm literally seeing this like new, youthful, energetic, excited, talented, passionate, confident, this like new version of ourselves being birthed through and like coming through. But I want you to understand something about the shedding process. And I want you to even understand something about like molting, the process of molting, like when reptiles and stuff go through it, and also insects, spiders molt. I don't know if you guys knew that, but spiders also molt. It's a very painful process. It's very painful, and it's also kind of scary because sometimes animals, because the molting process can be very traumatic and very risky, sometimes animals actually pass away when they're molting. They can pass away in a bad, they can have a bad molt and they could pass. Um, you know, molting is a very traumatic thing. Transformation, transmutation, this energy, it's like a lot of times you're kind of confronting death, you know? You have to go through a cycle of death in order to get to the new life. And I was thinking about this with the axis of Taurus and Scorpio because we're about to wrap up Torio. We're about to. Someone said you're telling me I might die. No, that's not what I'm telling you. What I'm telling you is I was thinking about this. The axis of Scorpio and Taurus and how it's the axis of life and death. Taurus, where the moon is exalted, right, brings life. And when we think about Taurus season, right, it's like the core of spring, and it's when all the flowers and the flowers are in bloom and the bees are buzzing and the insects are everywhere and they're just like this energy of like life, right? That's spring and that's Taurus season. But then directly opposite of Taurus is Scorpio, which is November, which is fall, and that's when everything is dying, when everything is being shed and everything's being purged, right? But there's this balance that happens between Taurus and Scorpio. And there's this balance, this cycle that, the signs of Scorpio and Taurus go through, that the seasons go through, where things are always growing and being born, and then they die and they get shed and they purge, right? It's like this cycle that we go through every year with the seasons. And so what spirit is saying, transmute, the transmute card is, where are you at in your cycle? And where have you been resisting either the rebirth or the ending, right? Maybe you've been stuck in this energy of life, life, and life, and you see this impending doom, or you see this impending death, or you see like this ending coming, and you're like, nope, it's okay. I'm just going to avoid it. I'm just going to like pretend like it's not there, or we're not going to take a look at that. But you're resisting the natural cycle of life. But also, on the other end of this, where could you be or have been or continue to be in a season of death and endings, and you're kind of entrenched or stuck in that grief? You're kind of entrenched and stuck in that sadness. You're kind of entrenched and stuck in that ending, or you've been paralyzed by it. But now it's time to go back out in the world and live life. Now it's time to go out in the world and rebuild. Now it's time to refresh and renew. Now it's time to reconnect with people. And maybe it's now maybe you went through a really traumatic or difficult, breakup or something. And now Spirit is saying it's time for you to go out there and start dating again. Now it's time to love again. Now it's time to make yourself available to life again, right? A lot of times when we go through these moments where there's like a traumatic ending or a death, it can be really, it could take us some time to kind of regain that excitement for life and to also be able to take the risk again that comes with life, right? Because life is a risky thing. Like whenever you're doing anything, there's an element of risk involved. Some things are a little bit more risky than others, right? But there's an element of, okay, I need to take this risk with living again. And Spirit is saying that's what we need to do. We need to lean into this kind of like risk taking. Like I need to, take the risk. I need to live. I need to take the leap of faith. I need to jump. I need to make the change. There's something about needing to take a big leap or take a big risk or make a big change or do something like that because that's where the magic is. That's where the opportunity is. And that's where the rebirth is at. That's what spirit is saying. Um, and also with this transmute card, what is your process? Like how do you grieve? How do you mourn? How do you let things go? Do you have a process of transmutation and change? Like what or how do you know? How do you honor? How do you keep track of when you are in that season? When you're in a season of change, right? And it's time to transform and let go. How do you confront the fear of change and stuff like this, right? Like I think these are all things that we need to think about, that we need to consider. A lot of times it's not until we're in that energy that we're like being conscious of it or that we're having to like, figure it out. But I think it's also very important to kind of understand what your own coping mechanisms are or what your own strategies are around change and transformation and grief and things like this, so that if you do find yourself in a season of it, you can navigate it appropriately. You know, I go through hibernation. Yeah, lean into the yeah, hibernation is really, yeah, sometimes just need rest, and we live in a culture that is all about work and productivity. So sometimes we have a lot of guilt associated with when we are in a down season, when we are in a season of hibernation, or when we're in a season of rest and healing. We can have a really hard time and feel guilty about just being in that energy of nothingness and being in that energy of I just need to be in bed. Yes, I will accept this challenge. I feel this is speaking to me. I'm about to close on a major fixer-upper 1907 farmhouse and have no idea where the money is going to come from yet. Oh, baby, do your thing. Don't worry about it. Just trust. My strategy suck, cry sub, struggle eating, and it gets even harder at night. Yeah, it's we gotta really work on the way that we manage the emotions of like grief and sadness and heaviness and stuff. We got to really work on how we manage those things. I feel honestly, it's interesting with me. Um, when I'm like feeling very heavy or very emotional and very sad and stuff like this, I just totally give in to the feeling. Like yesterday I was wailing, yesterday morning I was just like wailing, crying. And afterwards I was like, I feel so much better. I swear, like the universe, I don't know, the universe like must have been looking at me like, look at this bipolar guy. Like this man is so bipolar. Like I was literally just like in this energy of like grief and crying for like 30 minutes, and I was just like wailing. And then afterwards, I was like, and I just smiled and I was like, okay, I feel better. I just needed to get it out. I just needed, it was just in a moment. And that's the thing also is like, I don't hold on to emotional states. Like whenever I'm going through an emotional moment like that, I just like let myself fully like I surrendered to it, and I just like let myself like fully feel it. And then afterwards I'm like, okay, I feel better. You know? I was like, oh, that felt good. I don't stay in any emotional state for too long, is what I'm saying. All right, let's go ahead and talk about the astrology. I think that's it. I think that's good. So the card for the week was transmute, and we had the snake on it. The snake symbol, and we're in a season of change. We're in a season of transformation. Pluto just went retrograde in Aquarius, and Pluto just went into, well, not just went into Aquarius, but he's recently ingressed into Aquarius over the last year. Uranus just went into Gemini, right? Saturn re-entered Aries a couple months ago. We have all the outer planets in new signs. We are in a season of change, and we've been in this season of change, and we need to lean in, you know. So let's talk about the astrology of the week. Okay, how are we doing? How's everybody doing? Let me drink some water. 11:13. All right, pull up the chart. What's on the rising right now? Let's take a look and see what's on the rising. How my cardinal signs been? Aries, Capricorn, Cancer, Libra. How y'all doing? Cardinal signs have been getting it. They've been getting it a little bit. Yeah, I've noticed. I've okay, so a couple, and then we'll dive into the astrology of the week. I've noticed a couple things with cardinal signs. The first is Saturn. Okay, so Saturn and Aries, for cardinal signs. Capricorn, Cancer, Aries, Libra. I'm gonna talk about these things, and then we're gonna dive into the astrology of the week. Okay, so Saturn and Aries is causing a lot of conflict and tension in the lives of cardinal signs. Okay. Um, but I want you to understand something, okay? Cardinal signs, this is a very important time where you kind of have to learn to be a little bit more, either you have to like be more of an individual. You have to kind of like trust in yourself, kind of like be more independent, do your own thing, or you're having to learn the opposite lesson, which is you're having to rely on people, or you're having to like build bridges of connection and communication, and you're having to lean into partnership in order to find like success and achievement right now. Okay. But I just want you guys to understand, cardinal signs, Saturn is testing you, or he's going to continue to test you, and it has a lot to do with the way that you navigate boundaries with others. It has a lot to do with the way, also Saturn Aries, that you express like your power, your authority, your independence. Okay, very important at this time. Um, but keep in mind, Saturn does apply pressure, right? He will make you struggle, he'll make you suffer, he'll make you cry a little bit. He'll also delay things, or he'll block things, or he'll cancel things. So, things that you may thought were going to happen, all of a sudden will not happen, because of Saturn, all right? Or they'll be delayed, okay? So just keep this in mind, okay? These are all Saturn significations. Um, we you may see some growth or expansion though with work and career stuff, because that's what Saturn does. Saturn is also the planet of career, and he moves us career wise. So, if you're a cardinal sign and you are in the middle of a career change, or you're feeling like, wait a minute, I'm feeling like what I'm doing or what I want to do or what I have done, like that's up in the air, that is Saturn going to work. Okay? That's Saturn going to work on you. Someone says, as a cardinal, Cancer, Sun, Moon, Aries rising, feeling like I'm resisting the transformation period and learning to trust more and not rely on others. I love that for you. Saturn hates all of us. Someone says Saturn hates me. I'm like, Saturn hates all of us. So just keep that in mind, okay? The other thing, that, it's really funny because on Threads, there was a post that someone said, oh, Jupiter in Cancer was not that great, or Jupiter in Cancer was not that like beneficial, or Jupiter in Cancer was more of a negative experience for me. And what I have to say to that is, it's because Jupiter has been in a square to Saturn. So when Jupiter was in Pisces, or sorry, when Jupiter was in Gemini, Saturn was in Pisces, and Jupiter and Saturn were squaring each other. So even though Jupiter has been in Cancer, he's been making some loose trines to Jupiter, to Saturn. He was making some loose trines to Saturn and Pisces last year, in the beginning of this year, I think. But he's still in a sign-based square to Saturn. So a lot of the blessings and expansion and growth that Jupiter wants to bring has been capped or limited by the influence of Saturn in Aries, and also when Jupiter was in Gemini, Saturn in Pisces. So we got to be mindful of this, right? It's like things want to expand and grow. We want to take these risks. We want to buy homes. We want to like do all these beautiful things, but we have Saturn in a superior square to Jupiter. And Saturn has a lot to do with government. Saturn rules over corporations. Saturn rules over the rules and regulations of society. Saturn's also connected to like religious institutions, which is really interesting, especially like Catholicism, Christianity, like the big religious institutions. And what I'm feeling is that these institutions, religion, government, corporations, they're not doing great right now. They're not doing great right now. There's they're going through their own kind of like death and rebirth. And so a lot of our own personal individual things that we want to grow or that we want to do are being delayed because of governmental or societal intervention and because of governmental societal struggle. Okay. And we need to honor that. So I think it's really important right now to be discerning with your own timeline and to be patient with yourself. I think it's super important to be patient because, you know, many people are trying to get things going or grow things or trying to move things forward, but they're coming up against a lot of blockages in various ways. And we just need to honor the fact that we are living in a time period, especially right now, this particular moment in time, where there's a lot of kind of like Saturn energy. Things are very restricted, things are delayed. There's a lot of rules, regulations coming up. And there's also a lot of kind of like deprivation. There's the energy of like deprivation and lack. There's like the energy of deprivation and lack around. So it's that doesn't mean that you can't be super abundant and joyous and loving at this time. That doesn't mean that there ain't money to be made, but we just need to be aware. We need to be aware of the collective energy, right? That there's this collective Saturn energy in the air that, is kind of delaying things or holding people back or making people feel a little bit more conservative right now. Not a lot of people making big financial moves or taking big financial risks right now, um, because of the economy and because of things that are also going to be changing and happening with the economy coming up. So just keep that in mind, okay? But anyways, all right. So that was the first thing that I wanted to talk about was Saturn, and then the second thing I wanted to talk about was Jupiter and Cancer. So as Jupiter wraps up in Cancer, though, this month, I do believe Jupiter's wrapping up in Cancer this month. Let me just double check. I think he goes into Cancer in the beginning of July. This month, what I meant by this month, what I meant was June. I don't know why. We're still in May, Louis. Relax, buddy. Relax. Jupiter is going to go into Leo at the end of June. Yep, I'm looking at June 29th. We have Jupiter at 29 degrees. And Jupiter goes into Leo on June 30th, Pacific time. Okay, June 30th. So from now throughout the month of June, Jupiter needs to wrap up his work in Cancer. So whatever Jupiter is meant to manifest, is meant to bring, whatever Jupiter is meant to move, or however he's meant to bring some kind of expansion or growth, or even some kind of ending, okay? He has to do his work within the next 6 weeks before he goes into Leo. So, if you are a cardinal person, okay, do not be surprised, especially if you're a Capricorn, Cancer, Aries, or Libra. You might see this most immediately in your life. The water signs may benefit the most from this. They could receive like a blessing or some kind of magical thing, because they are receiving either a conjunction. If they have a Cancer, you have Cancer placements, you're either getting a conjunction from Jupiter or you're getting a trine. If you're a Pisces or a Scorpio, you're getting a trine from Jupiter and Cancer. But Jupiter in Cancer, he has to distribute the last of his blessings, or he has to do the last of his work, whatever he's meant to move, whatever he's meant to shift, or whatever he's meant to change, before he goes into a new sign, on June 30th. So if you're a cardinal sign, if you're a water sign, especially, you want to kind of just be mindful of how things are shifting or moving. Because also, the thing is, right, with Jupiter, is he can leave you a last little gift or a last little present before he goes. So he can like leave you a job, he could leave you a baby, he could leave you a puppy, he could drop off, he could leave you some kind of little blessing, some kind of little gift. You can meet someone that's like, oh, he could leave you a husband or a wife. He can leave you a best friend. He can leave you something, a little gift before he goes. So I just want you guys to be very open and very receptive to that. Okay, to kind of understand that with Jupiter. All right. We are going to have a Jupiter Venus conjunction, which I was talking about last week, but I'll mention it again. We're going to have this beautiful Jupiter Venus conjunction, which is going to happen in the beginning of June. It's on June 9th. Venus, Jupiter conjunct at 25 degrees Cancer. If you have anything around 25 degrees of a fixed sign or a water sign, this can be a very auspicious, blessed kind of day, or even the days leading up to this day and then the days after. We have that Jupiter Venus conjunction in Cancer, June 9th. Put that on your calendar because that's definitely going to be a very kind of like blessed energy. You know, Jupiter, Venus, the two benefics coming together. It's a very blessed thing, you know, very positive thing. All right, let's talk about the astrology of the week. So, let me get to where we're at. Today's May 18th. So, we're coming to the end of Taurus season. Can you believe it? I swear time is just moving by so fast. It felt like we just got into Taurus season. Like I'm like, wow, we're already at the end of we're already at the end of um Taurus season. It's so crazy. The sun's at 28 degrees Taurus today. I'm gonna tell you something, okay? Uh, this week and next week, my loves, are going to be interesting. There is going to be a lot of stimulation, a lot of movement, a lot of activity. Um, we're gonna see it collectively. We're gonna see it socially. Vacations, travels, getting books, joining groups, connecting to new communities, meeting new friends, making plans. You know, a lot of I don't know. It's a lot of paper pushing. I don't know why I'm just seeing papers flying everywhere. Maybe it's the Uranus Mercury conjunction in Gemini where I'm just seeing a flurry of papers. I'm just seeing papers and documents everywhere. Okay. It just feels like there's a lot of movement, a lot of stimulation, a lot of activity. We have Mercury in Gemini. Mercury actually went into Gemini last week. If you've been feeling very stimulated, if you've been feeling very excited, if your mind has just been like buzzing, or even if there's been a lot of like ideas and you know you've been very social and things like this, it's because Mercury and Uranus, they formed a conjunction in Gemini yesterday actually. Yeah, Sunday, May 17th, we had Mercury going to Gemini, and they are actually from today, they're actually conjoined like today. Like they formed a conjunction earlier today, I believe. Yeah, around midnight, actually, they conjoined each other. Mercury, Uranus conjunct in Gemini. Okay. So with Mercury, Uranus, and Gemini, you know, Gemini, what is Gemini? Gemini is a sign of siblings. Gemini is a sign of aunts, uncles, cousins, extended family. Gemini is also the energy of neighbors. That is really funny, actually, because for the first time ever yesterday, I had a neighbor knock on my door. That's crazy. That's crazy, actually. Uranus went it, or Mercury went into my fourth house, which is like my, fourth house is like home where you live. And from the third house to the fourth, because third house, I'm Pisces rising, so third house in Taurus, which is neighbors. Mercury went from Taurus into Gemini yesterday, and I had a neighbor knock on my door for the first time ever since I've lived here for the last like 2 years. Um, so with Mercury, Uranus, and Gemini, this is like making friends, like new friends, neighbors. Soul Coach says, talking to my neighbor, we've been hanging out. Yeah, this is like hanging out with neighbors, making neighbors friends. This is about being in the community, local environment. So people are going to be feeling very social. They're very outside this week and next week. We are in a new moon and Taurus cycle as well. So this is kind of like new beginnings. The other thing that we're going to see, it's a new moon in Taurus. Okay. Mercury went into Gemini and Venus is about to go into Cancer. We have a lot going on this week. We have Mercury went into Gemini from yesterday to today. Venus is going to Cancer. The Sun is going to Gemini. So Venus goes into Cancer tomorrow on Tuesday. That's awesome. with the moon. So we're gonna talk about that. Venus and the moon go together in Cancer. They move into Cancer together tomorrow. And then the sun's gonna go into Gemini on Thursday, the 21st, May 21st. So we had Venus entering Cancer. Mercury just went into Gemini. The sun is and Mars. Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. We have another one. Another planet that changes signs this week. Mars goes into Taurus. Mars goes into Taurus tomorrow. So Mars and Venus both go into new signs together. Mars and Venus have been in a sextile with each other. So Mars has been in Aries, Venus has been in Gemini. They've been sextiling. We talked about that last week. We talked about the Venus, Mars, Mars and Aries, Venus and Gemini sextile. We talked about that last week. We talked about freaky, kinky bathroom sex. Remember? Remember yeah, last week when I was tapping into the energy of Mars and Aries and Venus and Gemini, and I was like, this is giving sex in the car. This is giving bathroom sex. This is giving flirty. Let's make out. Let's hang out. Let's have fun on Saturday. And let's wake up Sunday morning and look at each other. I don't know you. I don't know who this person is. Get out of my bed, you stranger. And let's just act like nothing happened. That's what that's giving. Okay. But Venus in Cancer and Mars in Taurus, them moving into Mars, going to Taurus, Venus moving. This is a very different energy. This is a very different energy. This is the energy of domesticity. This is the energy of let's ground and make a baby. This is the energy of let's buy a home together. This is the energy of let's get a bank account together. Okay, this is the energy of let's go ahead and buy a vehicle together. Let's go ahead and co-sign, on the whatever. This is a much more grounded, stable, committed, loyal energy. Venus in Cancer, sextile Mars and Taurus. Okay. Venus in Cancer is about, our traditional values, the values of the family, the values of the home, the value of being a parent, the value of being a mother. Venus in Cancer is a very loyal Venus. Let me tell you, Venus in Cancer, it has a lot to do with, loyalty and devotion to the mother, to the family, to the children, things like this. But it's also it is a cardinal Venus, you know. It's a very emotionally impulsive Venus, Venus in Cancer. I've noticed those that have Venus in Cancer, they fall in love very, very quickly. It's the cardinal energy of Venus. They are ready to move someone in and build a home with someone very, very quickly. It's all Venus and Cancer things. Okay. Um, but with the energy of Mars and Taurus, right? It's interesting. Like there's a very stimulating This is like also Mars and Taurus magnifies our sensuality. So Mars and Taurus, Mars is the planet of desire, and Taurus is the sign of pleasure. Taurus is the sign of the five senses, our ability to smell, hear, taste, touch. So with Mars and Taurus, you know, we're gonna feel more of this sensuality, more of this desire energy, more of this, I want to connect body to body. I want to be with someone physically. This is about physical connection, and the desire to physically connect to others. Mars and Venus is this conversation that's happening, right? This Mars Venus sextile, this conversation happening with this ingress of Mars and Venus this week, where we're really like asking, I don't know, this feels like we're connecting to people off of our values, like our shared values, or also because we want to like build with them, or also because maybe they smell good or they taste good, they look good. That could be that too. Um, but this is a very stimulating energy when it comes to relational dynamics overall, in general. Okay. Uranus and Mercury are in Gemini. Okay. Venus is in Cancer with Mars and Taurus. This is like meeting new people. This is like going out on dates. This is like, especially when Venus and Mars are in a sextile with each other. This is like, let's go out and have fun. Let's go out and play. Let me take you out somewhere. Let's go out to eat. Things like this. Okay. Um, this is going to be very interesting for money and finances and jobs this week. I'm gonna be honest. I do think We're going to be seeing a lot of activity this week, with like, jobs and, phone calls and interviews and email correspondences and things like this. We're going to see a lot of that activity because Mercury just went into a new sign. So when Mercury ingresses into a new sign, we tend to see Mercury things kind of like move forward or like grow or manifest. And, um, Mercury is a planet that is connected to jobs and serving others. Okay. Mercury rules over your coworkers, your jobs, and stuff like that. So with Mercury going into Gemini in a new sign, be open to opportunities around like new work, but it's Mercury Uranus conjunction. It's Uranus and Gemini. So I'm gonna tell you the jobs of the future and the jobs that are showing up may not be what you traditionally expect. You know, there may be new types of jobs or new types of roles, or there may even be some kind of modification of current jobs. That's one of the things you may see is like a job that you're already at. They want to change your title, they want to modify the position in some type of way, or they're trying to consolidate the position in some type of way. Okay, we may see that with Mercury, with Mercury and Gemini co-present with Uranus. Okay, but we also got to keep in mind, right, as the sun comes into Gemini on Thursday, um, in hits Uranus, it's going to make a trine with Pluto as well. And we have Uranus and Pluto in a trine. So Uranus is in Gemini and Pluto's in Aquarius. And Pluto just stationed retrograde, right? So he's going to be going backwards. He's going to retrace. I think he's going to go back to like maybe 1 degree. He might go back to 1 degree or 0 degrees Aquarius throughout his retrograde over the next 6 months. I'm not really sure. But there is a conversation that Pluto and Uranus are having. Pluto in Aquarius is trining Uranus and Gemini. And they're in this fixed trine. They're going to be in this trine for a while, for at least the next 6 months to a year. Let me see. I'm actually go out 6 months. Yeah. 6 months from now, November 19th, 2026, we have Uranus retrograde at 3 degrees Gemini, and we have Pluto, who just went direct at 3 degrees Aquarius, and they are trining each other still in an exact trine. Even next year, May 19th of 2027, Pluto at 7 degrees Aquarius, Uranus at 5. They're still trining each other. There's still 2 degrees of separation. That's still a trine. So we're going to have this Pluto Uranus trine in the air for the next year. What does this mean? This is about the hyper transformation of reality, in the updating of reality with AI and technology, and also with work and jobs. Okay, this is about the introduction of robots into the home. This is about the transformation and change. It's also going to be happening with medicine and the medical establishment, and artificial organs, and in interesting, futuristic ways of doing surgery and stuff like this. And so we're gonna, with this Pluto trine Uranus, we're gonna see even more of a rapid evolution with all things Aquarius Gemini, which is the future with your technology, robots, AI. Okay. But if you are someone that's also experiencing this transit directly, like let's say you have something early degrees Aquarius or something early degrees Gemini, this is also about the transformation and change of you in your identity. You may be going through a huge evolutionary process. And this could also be around being torn between two different lives or two different versions of yourselves, your past self and your future self, or this one part of you, this one version of you, and then this other part of you and this other version of you that's like emerging and like breaking free, just like. So just be very mindful of this. Some people are directly experiencing this because they have early degree Gemini or early degree Aquarius placements, and they're feeling this energy of like Uranus and Pluto. They're feeling very rebellious. They're feeling very stimulated. They're feeling like they want to break free. They're feeling like this. There's like a bifurcation or this like diversification that's happening with their identity, their personality, and there's like this authenticity that's trying to come through. Because Pluto and Aquarius and Pluto retrograde in Aquarius What is Pluto and Aquarius going to be about? It's going to be about what is it going to continue to be about? The stripping away of everything that's false and the illumination and the excavation of everything that is true. Okay. Pluto hates things that are fake. Pluto does not like fake. He doesn't like fake. He doesn't do fake. He also doesn't like things that are deceitful or dishonest. He doesn't like things that are hidden, that lie, that manipulate, that deceive. Pluto does not like these things. What he does is he reveals and he exposes these things. Okay. He reveals truth, he reveals authenticity, and he peers through all the deception, he peers through all the lies, he peers through anything that is fake. Okay. So with Pluto retrograde in Aquarius, if you have fake friends, if you have a fake identity, if you have built yourself, if you have a fake degree, you have a fake diploma, you have a fake master, you have a fake doctorate, you have a degree you didn't even get. Okay. Well, guess what? Pluto's gonna expose you. Pluto's gonna reveal it. Okay. Pluto's gonna bring it to the surface. Because Pluto doesn't like things that are fake. He likes things that are authentic, especially in Aquarius. What is Pluto trying to transform and change when he's in Aquarius? He's trying to transform and change our relationship to our identity. And it's the way he's trying to transform and change us is in a way where we are being true and authentic to ourselves, right? We're not just kind of accommodating or modifying or adapting ourselves in order to fit into the status quo, in order to fit into society, in order to fit into our friendships, in order to fit in. Like Aquarius is the sign that does not want to fit in. It wants to stand out. But it wants to stand out in rebellion to the things that society deems normal or deems acceptable, right? And this is this is a reoccurring theme that you'll see in the lives of Aquarians. Okay, there's something about them and their lived experience that society does not like. It could be their gender, it could be their identity, it could be their political beliefs, it could be the work that they do, it could be their skin color, it could be the way that they feel about things, it could be their belief system. There's something about an Aquarian, about Aquarius people, that society deems them unfit, does not like them. It wants to control them and tell them what to do. And Aquarius is this energy of no, fuck that. I'm a revolutionary. I'm a rebel. I am a person. I am an authority unto myself. Right? And someone said it's always something. There's always something that society is going after an Aquarian for. I'll tell you this. It's the nature of the sign. It's the way it was constructed. It was built to be rejected. I hate to say it's true. Okay? It's true. All right? Some signs were born to be rejected. And those two signs especially are Aquarius and Capricorn. These are the signs that were born to be rejected, okay? And in that rejection though, there is a rebellion and there is a reclamation of truth and authenticity. Because Aquarius gives us the ability to see the bigger picture. Aquarius is the bigger picture. And it gives us the ability to detach from the immediacy of it, right? Or the drama of it, which is Leo, and to be able to see the bigger picture and see it from the outsider's perspective. Because Aquarius is the outsider, right? Think about this. Aquarius is the outsider, is the outcast, is the rebel, is the black sheep, okay? But the black sheep is the one that could see all the bullshit that the white sheep can't. The black sheep is like, look at all of you following this blind leader. Look at you, look at all of you believing this bullshit, right? Because I'm apart from the system, I can also see the system outside, see from outside of it, and I can see that this shit is not right, that this shit is not okay, that something is really off here, okay? So with that in mind, with Pluto retrograded in Aquarius, Pluto just went retrograde in Aquarius, and Pluto trining Uranus, which is the planet of your of freedom and authenticity and rebellion and wanting to do your own thing, we got to keep in mind that this energy of like social justice and this energy of like holding the government accountable and this energy of kind of like being the rebel, being the outcast, like that's kind of like in right now. Like that's the norm. Like that is what Uranus and Pluto are pushing us towards. And we got to lean in, you know? Venus and Mercury in Aquarius always expose the haters, get a kick out of it. Always the bigger picture. Yes. So we need to kind of embrace the Aquarius within us. Uranus trine Pluto. We need to embrace our inner rebel. We also need to be true and authentic to ourselves. And also with Uranus and Gemini, trine Pluto and Aquarius, we need to be building connections or building communities or building friendships with people that honor us, that see us, that validate us, that appreciate us, and that are not trying to censor us, that are not trying to block us, that are not trying to diminish us. You know, this is about building those that I do believe Uranus and Gemini, trine Pluto and Aquarius is bringing us friends from far places. Or it's I think this trine wants to connect us to communities of people that are like far or that are maybe not local to us. Okay, maybe this is like these are more digital friendships or more online friendships. We also got to be open to that. Okay, but also new types of jobs. I just got to tell you this right now. Like work or jobs that are just new, different, weird, strange, unique, something new. Like they're the jobs of today are going to be changing and transforming, you know? Your parents do a great reflection of this. They support you in your life so much. Oh, thank you. Yeah, my dad's been chilling here. Thanks, Dad. See you later, buddy. Yeah, my parents are very supportive of me and my work. I'm very grateful for that, you know. It's very interesting because you know, I have spoke with a lot of other spiritual workers or workers that, you know, people that do tarot, astrology or Reiki, whatever. And they don't have it's sad because a lot of them they don't have that support from their mother and their father. Or their family's like weird about their work and stuff. Um, I feel for them. That must be difficult, but I'm very blessed. You know, my parents believe in anything and everything that I do. You know, I could if you know anything I can tell them tomorrow, Mom, I'm starting a cult. She'll be like, "Oh my God, I'm so happy for you. Like, what's the name of your cult?" You know, they do blindly support me. It's a very beautiful thing. You know, I'm very lucky for it. I also think it's the way my chart is because I'm a ninth house stellium. I think it's the way my chart is. You know, I have the moon sextile Venus, and my fourth house ruler of the family is conjunct the sun. So you have Gemini in the fourth, which is ruled by ninth house Mercury conjunct the sun and Pluto. So it's kind of like my family, like because my family's like ninth house energy, they're like, oh, we really believe in you, and you know, that's the way my chart is. I will tell you, you know, you can take a look at your chart and you can, you know, well, I can take a look at your chart and eyeball whether or not your mom or dad are going to support you with your career endeavors. And for some people, karmically, for some people, it's so interesting the way their chart is built. They're actually supposed to go against whatever their parents want them to do career wise. So for some people, they have a karma around careers that they are forced on them or that are inherited or careers that they like don't want to do. And so their karmic task is to free themselves with the work that they're going to do in the world and to like choose like go their own way and do their own thing, you know. And it's funny because I'll read this in a chart for a client and they'll tell me, "Oh my God, yeah, like my mom wanted me or my mom and my dad wanted me to be a doctor and you know that I was in med school or whatever and then I dropped out because it just wasn't for me, you know, and I decided I wanted to do this and they didn't like it at first, but now they're okay with it." And sometimes that's what it's like. Sometimes your chart literally tells a story about how you need to like choose your own way or do your own way, you know? And it'll show a little bit of a karmic tension with a parent where there's like an element of like control or an element of them trying to like force you to do something that you don't want to do, you know? All right, let's talk about the astrology of the week. Let's keep going. So, Gemini season starts this week. So what did we talk about so far? We talked about Venus going into Cancer this week, tomorrow. Mars goes into Taurus. Mars and Venus. Hold on. We just got a lot going on. Mars and Venus both go into new signs tomorrow on Tuesday the 19th, May 19th. So Venus goes into Cancer, Mars goes into Taurus. And then the Sun goes into Gemini on Thursday the 21st. And we just had Mercury go into Gemini as well yesterday on Sunday, May 17th. So we have four planets changing signs this week. That indicates change. That indicates new energy, movement, momentum. Okay. Um, especially I'm kind of the activation of Mars and Taurus, this is giving like new jobs and new source of income for some people. Really depends on your chart though. It really depends on your chart. But I kind of like this astrology. I think this is going to be really good astrology this week. Um so today Mars is at 29 degrees Aries conjunct Chiron. Today there can be moments of crisis, okay? It's a 29-degree Mars. Mars at a critical degree. Um, Mars is also going to be moving into a square with Pluto when he goes into Taurus tomorrow. He's going to move into kind of like he's going to be building up into a square with Pluto. This can be about power battles, or this can be about moments of crisis, um, or arguments and stuff. 20 to 29-degree Mars can be a little triggering. Also, you got to keep in mind that Mars has been passing Chiron. So Mars is in a conjunction with Chiron right now, who's at 28 degrees. Mars has been sitting with Chiron since our new moon on Saturday. Chiron is the little circle with the K. So if you're ever looking at your chart, asteroid Chiron, it's got a little circle and then it has like a K on top of it. Okay. That's asteroid Chiron or Chiron. Some people call it Chiron. But your Chiron is your deepest wound or it's what hurts the most. It's also the celestial point of healers and those that are healers and that heal in different ways. So people that have a strong Chiron signature in their chart, they have Chiron in the rising, they have Chiron in the descendant, they have Chiron conjunct the sun or Chiron conjunct their Venus or Mercury, they usually will end up working in some kind of healing profession. Um, and it could be anything, it doesn't have to be like healing, it could also be like fixing or repair. Sometimes I've seen Chiron show up as those that fix or repair buildings. They have Chiron in Capricorn or Chiron in Taurus. They may also help people fix or repair their money or their resources. That's a Chiron and Scorpio, Chiron and Taurus thing is like helping people with money or finances. I've seen a lot of people with Chiron and Scorpio, Chiron and Taurus help. They like work with other people's money or work with other people's resources, or they're helping people manage money, or they're helping people heal their relationship with money. And sometimes you also see it with like the law, helping like Chiron and Libra, Chiron and Aries. Sometimes it's like, oh yeah, I became a lawyer because I want to help people. I went through a really bad divorce. So I want to help other women, navigate, troubling divorces with egotistical men or stuff like that, So kind of manifests in different ways. It shows up in different ways. But Chiron is what hurts the most. And so what Chiron and Aries conjunct Mars, this is about the karmic wound of anger, the karmic wound of power, a karmic wound around men, possibly. This is where that Chiron Mars triggering can show up tomorrow or today, okay? Going to tomorrow. Mars is going to Taurus tomorrow, but we're still gonna, that energy of Mars Chiron is still gonna be lingering in the air. My brother is a is my brother-in-law has Chiron Sun in Taurus and he owns a moving company. Oh, that's really cool. This is a sign I should 100% become a financial dominatrix. What's a financial? Oh, is that like when you like are like punishing a man and you're like telling like give me $500, Or like when men get off on like giving you money, is that like that? Is that what that is? I've heard about that. They're called, isn't that, aren't they called pay pigs? Pay pig. Oh, it is. I watched the Little Vice documentary on this. This is why I know about this. A pay pig is slang for a submissive individual in a financial domination dynamic who derives pleasure or gratification from sending money in gifts to a financial dominant, commonly called a findom, goddess, or a cash master. So, yeah, maybe you're Chiron and Taurus. Maybe that is the signature of you being a findom, a goddess, or a cash master. Okay. Um, so maybe your Chiron and Taurus is telling you you need a pay pig. Quite possibly. Well, we all know what Chiron and Taurus collectively is, right? Chiron and Taurus is the big money wound. A lot of you that have that Chiron and Taurus, there's a big wound around money and finances, also around self-worth, self-esteem, around your own beauty, around your own looks, around your body. Also, a lot of women that have Chiron and Taurus, they have hormonal issues. Mm-hmm. Fibroids, what is the other one? What's the other one? Uh, there's a reproductive thing that women deal with. Not fibroids. It's called something else. I can't think of it. But it also is going to show up like that too. Chiron and Taurus is going to show up as hormonal issues, reproductive health issues. I see it a lot. Thyroid issues, Chiron and Taurus. Hmm. Endometriosis. Thank you for reading my. I could not. Okay. Yes, PCOS and endometrial. I could not, the word was just not coming. I could not, I wouldn't have been able to find that word. That word would not have come. It would have showed up tomorrow, honestly. Like it would have showed up tomorrow because um I was not able to I was thinking I knew exactly what I was trying to talk about, but I could not summon the word. It was not even PCOS was coming to me. Like it was just a blank. But yeah, that's how it shows up, the Chiron and Taurus. But yeah, so with Mars Chiron together, we just got to be mindful today and tomorrow of like wounded men, anger, getting triggered, someone saying something that really hurts our feelings, and us getting really angry. Um, Also moments of crisis or panic. Okay, just be mindful of that energy. Okay. Me and my friend covering our placements, and she has Chiron and Taurus in the ninth, and she has fibroids hitting her bad. This, yeah, it's hormonal because Taurus rules hormones. Is Taurus is connected to our hormones. It's connected to our lymphatic system, and Taurus also opposes Scorpio, which is the reproductive organs. So what I've noticed is with Chiron and Taurus is like we tend to see the karmic wound show up hormonally or in the reproductive organs. That tends to be where it shows up, Chiron and Taurus. So, all right. Venus going into Cancer, though, is very, very sweet. It's very nice. It's very grounding. Venus moving into Cancer and Venus being in Cancer for the next 3 weeks, starting tomorrow, is going to be really good for healing and mending of relationships. It's also going to be really good for blessings, like for new opportunities or for like fresh starts, especially when it comes to like home living situations, family stuff. The reason why Venus in Cancer is going to be such a good transit or positive transit is because Venus is transiting Cancer co-present with Jupiter. And Venus and Jupiter, like I was saying, on June 9th are going to form a conjunction at 25 degrees. And Venus is going to be building up into this conjunction with Cancer over the next 3 weeks. And the Venus Jupiter, being co-present, Venus Jupiter being in the same sign is going to be very beneficial. And we're going to see, it's interesting with Venus, as Venus approaches Jupiter, we're going to see a lot of people making big changes and taking big leaps of faith or taking big risks or making big life jumps or reaching for like bigger opportunities. It's gonna be a very beautiful thing. Okay. So Venus in Cancers, also with Venus, Jupiter in the same sign and them coming to conjunction. This is like harmonious. This is like celebration, engagement, marriage, ceremony, graduation, baby showers. It's like all this like really beautiful energy. It's like abundant, beautiful, celebratory, life-giving energy. Okay. Um, we're definitely going to see that. A lot of relationships being consolidated as well, though. So consolidation of existing relationships. So people that are already together, getting married, engaged, stuff like that. Okay, with Venus and Cancer. And it's a Venus Mars are sextiling each other still. So this is very stimulating for male female gender dynamics, or this is very stimulating for just meeting new people. This is very sexy energy. When Venus and Mars are in a sextile, it's sexy energy. We want to connect with people. We want to be body to body. We want to go out. We want to, get wine and dine. We want to socialize. We want to connect. We want to get it on a little bit when Venus and Mars are sextiling each other. So just, be aware of that energy. Be aware of the very stimulating energy in the air with Venus and Mars in a sextile with each other, because they've been in a sextile since last week and they're going to continue to be in a sextile. So, um, it's funny how they both go into these more grounded, sensual, feminine signs, right? Taurus and Cancer are feminine signs because they're water and earth signs. All the water and earth signs are considered feminine, where the air and fire signs are considered masculine. Okay. Yes, even Libra, even though it's a feminine energy, Libra is the masculine side of Venus. Libra is also a masculine sign. Okay. Sometimes we get a little confused with that. Like, oh yeah, well, Capricorn or Scorpio is not feminine. Well, Scorpio is only a feminine sign because it's a water sign. So we're not thinking about it in traditional terms of like masculine, feminine. We're thinking about it in energetic terms. Okay. When we're talking about the feminine, masculine nature of the signs. Okay. But yeah, so Venus, sextile Mars. It's gonna be really, really good. You know, she said that why am I a man in all my relationships? I'm a Capricorn stellium. That's funny. Yeah, well, you are the man. You are. I'm just saying by the nature of the signs, I do think Capricorn and Scorpio are very masculine energies. I do think they are masculine energies, right? But they are feminine at the end of the day. They're just the feminine power signs. Hey, Christina, how are you, my love? They're just the feminine power signs. Okay. Scorpio and Capricorn, I think, and Virgo, I think Virgo is another one, are the powerful, strong water earth signs, you know? So, yeah, so Venus, Mars. Okay. So the sun goes into Gemini on Thursday. Okay. And the sun going into Gemini is not just the sun going to Gemini, it's the sun also conjoining Uranus. Thursday, ooh, excuse me, May 21st, our first day of Gemini season. And let me tell you, this is going to be a rowdy Gemini season. This is going to be a little wonky, a little rowdy. It's going to be very kind of like people kind of, especially with the Sun Uranus conjunction on Thursday, people are feeling like they want to be themselves. They're feeling autonomous and rebellious. They're feeling true to themselves. They're feeling like they want to break free. Sun Uranus conjunction is a transit that is giving us an opportunity to free and liberate ourselves. And we're kind of getting to know ourselves, kind of getting to know okay, who am I in this new future? Who am I in this emerging timeline? Who do I want to be in this future that's being born right now? Who do I want to be the next, 5, 10, 15, 20 years? I think that's the question that the Sun Uranus conjunction on Thursday is asking us. Because it's also Sun trine Pluto, right? So Sun conjunct Uranus, Sun trine Pluto, that energy is going to be in the air starting on Thursday, going all the way into next week. So, we got to kind of let Uranus and Pluto kind of reshape us. We got to let Uranus and Pluto mold us into the future self. We got to kind of let the outdated version of ourselves, or maybe the parts of ourselves that we're trying to leave behind, we got to let that go so that we can adopt these new qualities of self, because that's what the Sun Uranus is about. Sun Uranus conjunction can also be about sudden shifts or changes with leadership or with bosses. This can also be about leaders or bosses doing crazy things, making radical, sudden decisions or choices. I think we're going to see a lot of people this week going to next week, especially like you're in the beginning of Gemini season, a lot of people kind of just radically doing something different or radically making a shift or making a change. We're going to see a lot of that because the energy of Uranus, because the energy of Uranus is emancipating, is freeing, is liberating us, is kind of wanting to create some kind of dramatic shift or create some kind of dramatic change. Okay. So just keep that in mind. This could also manifest as people feeling way more rebellious and way more anti-rules. So if you are a leader or a boss, if you're a parent who has teenagers or whatever, um, be mindful of kids acting erratically, children acting erratically, employees acting erratically, because of the Sun Uranus energy, the Sun Uranus energy really brings erratic, energy. So, okay. So that's on Thursday. Let's see if there's anything else. Mercury sextile Saturn. Mercury and Gemini sextile Saturn on May 23rd. From the 22nd to the 23rd. Signing lease agreements. Signing new documents. Filing paperwork. Someone signing on the dotted line. Friday to Saturday. On Saturday, someone is signing on the dotted line for some kind of document, for some kind of trap. Like they need to, you need to recite the Pledge of Allegiance on Saturday and take a test. You can become a citizen. You need to sign your passport to make it legitimate. You're signing because you're getting hired by a new company. Mercury sextile Saturn is about commitments. It's about, verbal commitments. It's about contracts. It's about the movement, especially as Mercury is separating from a sextile with Saturn. We're going to see this going into Monday of next week, but the energy is going to show up starting Friday. Okay. Mercury and Gemini sextile Saturn in Aries. All right. Um, that's going to be next week. Yeah, we'll talk about that next week. Venus is gonna square Saturn, but we'll talk about that next week. Okay. Oh, let's talk about Venus in Cancer though, squaring Neptune. Ooh, yeah, Venus square Neptune. Okay. Venus is squaring Neptune as of tomorrow. Not yet, but soon. Venus, when she goes into Cancer, yeah, she's gonna be in a square at Neptune. Neptune is the planet of delusion. Neptune is the planet of hopeless romanticism. Neptune is the planet of avoidance and escapism as well, especially when he's activated by a square. So, whenever you hear the word opposition or square, you want to think of the planet and their worst qualities, okay, or their more negative qualities, okay. Squares and oppositions tend to bring out the more malefic or challenging or difficult aspects of the particular planets that are involved in the square, where trines and sextiles tend to bring out the more auspicious, more benefic, more positive aspects of the planets involved in that particular trine or sextile. Okay. A square between Venus and Neptune, this is about delusional love. This is about hopeless romanticism. This is also about nostalgia from the past. Venus in Cancer is a very nostalgic Venus. Those that have Venus in Cancer, they have a really hard time with letting go of people of the past. They tend to romanticize and fantasize about people of the past. They tend to have a lover from childhood, usually in their teenage years, that is like, oh my God, that person was my soulmate and that person was for me. And they like will carry this lover even if they're not in their life anymore, if they went through a breakup with them, they'll carry this lever in their heart well into like their 30s and their 40s, okay? Because they're like, oh, but there's that person from when I was 16, and there's like this romanticism of the past that Venus and Cancer is about. Well, the square from Neptune and Aries to Venus and Cancer can double down on that kind of delusional, hopeless romanticism, kind of like, longing for the past, that kind of energy. We just got to be very mindful of this, okay? This is also kind of opens up the door for financial deception and financial deceit. Venus is connected to money and resources, and Venus square Neptune can also be about scams and stuff. So you want to be mindful of this. Um, this week, starting on Tuesday, going up until I would even say like the weekend. You want to just be mindful of this all week because Venus is going to be building up into this square with Neptune. It goes exact on Friday, May 22nd. but it's going to be lingering. Yeah, it's going to be lingering in the air for the next like until Monday of the following week until May 24th. Yeah, it's going to be in the air. So just be mindful of this Venus Neptune square, okay? Don't get conned, don't get deceived, trust your judgment. Falling in love at first sight is very much a Venus Neptune square. Before you like start to emotionally invest and before you like fully dive into the love thing, just make sure you know what you're falling in love with. Make sure you do your homework. Make sure you do your research. Make sure you get to know the person. Make sure you give it some time before you just fall in love and throw yourself at someone. Okay. That's a Venus Neptune thing, you know? Falling in love at first sight is a very, very Venus Neptune thing, Venus Neptune square. There can be some things that do get illuminated or come to light, though. We're in a new moon in Taurus cycle, but this process of like illumination and like things coming to the light, revelation, epiphany, this process of things coming to the light. I'm getting this. Okay, let me tell you where I'm getting this from. Let me go back. Hold on. Let me take a look at the new moon. I gotta go back to the new moon. See what the astrology of it was. Okay, okay, okay. So we had a Sun Mercury Kazemi. Okay, this makes sense. Okay, I was wondering where this was coming from. I was like, I don't see any typical astrology that would tell me like information coming to the light or things. But we had a new moon in Taurus that was a Mercury Cazimi as well. So we had the Mercury Cazimi a few days, like the day prior. Yeah. So the Sun Mercury Cazimi was like the 15th. And then we had our new moon on the 16th. And then Mercury went into Gemini yesterday on the 17th. So here we are on the 18th. So with Mercury taking over the moon, pulling ahead of the sun is what I meant to say, taking over the sun, pulling ahead of the sun. Revelation and epiphany, information coming to the light, you know, things kind of being seen. Also decisions or choices, you know, people making conclusive decisions or choices this week. That may be a thing as Mercury's now in rulership, you know. So just be mindful of that, okay? I was like, where's this coming from? It has to be the Mercury Cazimi. Has to be, has to be, has to be. Um, so all right, the moon. So the moon starts off this week today in Gemini. It's been in Gemini all weekend. Anybody have like a social chatty weekend? Um, Also Mercury in Gemini season graduation, obviously, because of Sagittarius, right? But also people learning new skills, educating themselves, taking new classes, getting back into school for something, wanting to hone a skill or talent. Mercury and Gemini is going to have a lot of people kind of going back to school, you know, reading new books and things like this. We might be interested in reading new books, you know, literature with Mercury, Uranus, and Gemini, you know. So the moon in Gemini. So then tomorrow, so today the moon wraps up in Gemini. Tomorrow the moon's in Cancer with Venus and Jupiter. I'm expecting today and tomorrow, or I'm sorry, tomorrow and Wednesday to be a little blessed. I'm expecting good things. The moon is passing through Venus and the moon is passing through Jupiter. Tuesday and Wednesday of this week. These are kind of auspicious days. These are good days. These are lucky days. Okay. Good days to for manifestation work, good days for creative work, any kind of creative work, really, really good days to do any kind of creative stuff. Also, any kind of like beauty, health, wellness stuff that you want to do. So if you want to like get your nails done, get your hair did, you want to go have a spa day, tomorrow and Wednesday, good days. Wednesday's a really good day to go to the doctor or to consult with somebody. Moon Jupiter that day. Good day to receive wisdom and guidance. Good day to receive good instruction. or good information or good feedback. What is going on, Mike? Hold on. There we go. You guys, if this isn't like centered, hold on, wait a minute. You gotta. Is that better? Let me see how it looks on here. There we go. There we go. I'm centered. You're going to the doctor Wednesday? Yeah, it's a good day to get wisdom guidance, go to the doctor. Louis, what about Venus in Cancer with the moon in the 10th in late degree? What about it? Are you asking me a question about that or yeah. So hold on, sorry. I just like got caught up reading comments. I just didn't know what your question was. That's why I asked it like that. I don't know if you're asking me a question or but yeah, so the moon's gonna be in Cancer Tuesday, Wednesday, and Wednesday's a good day because moon's with Jupiter, and they're both in Cancer, right? They're in the sign of their domicile. Uh, Wednesday morning, Tuesday evening can feel a little rough though because the moon is gonna square Saturn. So the moon square Saturn Tuesday evening and Wednesday morning. There could be some kind of delay, some kind of setback. There could be some kind of obligation or responsibility we got to take care of tomorrow, Tuesday night, going into Wednesday morning. Okay, because of the moon squaring Saturn. All right. Then the moon goes into Leo on Thursday. And the moon in Leo is giving fun, exciting, warm energy Thursday and Friday. The moon's going to be in Leo going all the way into Saturday, actually. It's not until midday that the moon goes into Virgo on Saturday, but the moon's going to be in Leo pretty much Thursday, Friday, going to Saturday. Um, the moon in Leo is our square from our new moon in Taurus. This is kind of giving more expansion and growth, though. I don't know. This is kind of giving to new moon, the moon trending in the sun. It's kind of giving like what's who is giving? It's giving people investing in new connections, investing in new relationships. Like it's kind of giving like there's doors opening and there's new opportunities forming, or they're like the way forward is forming. Is what I'm seeing. So I don't know. I feel like the moon in Leo Thursday and Friday, going Saturday, is going to give us some really positive information about good things or new things moving forward and stuff. Okay. What I will say though, this is the fourth house away from the new moon. I wouldn't be surprised if some people have to go through to a funeral this weekend, or they're going to either a funeral or a retirement party or something. I wouldn't be surprised because it is fourth house energy. Fourth house does bring endings. So just be mindful of that, okay? And then the moon goes into Virgo on Saturday, and moon's gonna be in Virgo Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And this is where I think things get a little funky and things get a little sticky. The moon's gonna be present with the South Node. It's also gonna be squaring the Sun, Uranus, and Mercury in Gemini on Saturday going into Sunday. And this is where things can kind of get a little unstable, get a little wonky. What I will say to that is on Saturday and Sunday, uh, confirm all your plans with people and places and things just to make sure there's no unexpected shifts or changes. Um, Someone could also fall sick or fall ill. We can get sick or get ill this weekend. So make sure you are really on top of your P's and Q's Friday night specifically, and don't stay out late, don't do too much, and be mindful of the environments that you're in Friday night because you could wake up sick Saturday morning, Sunday morning. The moon and the south node going together in Virgo usually gets people sick. Okay. It'll be Memorial Day weekend. Oh, don't a lot of people visit like the cemetery on Memorial Day weekend? Oh yeah. It's about Memorial Day is a holiday. Morning, how did I knew what a Memorial Day was, I promise, okay? I just kind of forgot the details. It's about mourning people that are in the US military who passed away. It makes sense. Fourth house. I don't know. I was like seeing people going to a funeral or see people at the cemetery. And that makes a lot of sense because it's Memorial Day and people are going to be visiting their deceased veteran loved ones for, for Memorial Day on the weekend. So that's what I was seeing. Let me close out this window that says pay pig here. So yeah, that's what I was seeing. But yeah, the moon's gonna be with the south node. So you just want to be mindful of your health and your wellness. Especially if you're a mutable sign, don't get sick this weekend, okay? Especially if you're in a cold environment. Um, yeah. Okay. But yeah, it's gonna be Moon in Virgo squaring Uranus, squaring Mercury. So this could be also be about miscommunication things, misplanning, canceled plans, delayed plans, or people they can't go because they're sick, or something else comes up. Okay. Um, Friday's a really good day for love, though. It's a really good day for a date, partnership, stuff like this. Friday's a really good day for that. Let me see if there's anything else. We do have Jupiter going to 22 degrees, but that's not really telling me much. Yeah, Moon in Virgo. Oh, the moon will trine Mars. That's going to be very stimulating, very exciting. Saturday, Sunday could be very active days with the moon trine Mars. We may feel very physically active. These could be good gym days, good days for hiking. Also, good days for cleaning. Good days for purging shit, cleaning things up. The moon's in Virgo, trining Mars and Taurus. Clean your kitchen, clean your bathroom, do your laundry, take a shower. I was kidding. But yeah, Moon in Virgo, trine Mars and Taurus, Saturday, Sunday. Really good days for doing Virgo Taurus things. This could also be about family meals, cooking dinner for the family and all that, Saturday, Sunday. Moon in Virgo, trining Mars, Moon trine Mars. Clean up your life, get everything organized. Okay? Really good days for that. Um, this is going to be a very unique, erratic, different Gemini season, though. Also just be open to who you meet. Okay, this week, next week, a lot of new friends, a lot of social stimulation, a lot of community stimulation, a lot of connection with others. Okay, want to lean into that. Okay. Anything else that I wanted to talk about? Not really. We did a little. Okay, let's do a recap of the week because this is a busy week. It's a busy week in the stars. Okay. Tuesday, May 19th. Mars goes into Taurus, Venus goes into Cancer. They both ingress into new signs together. Okay. Thursday, May 21st. The sun goes into Gemini. And I think that's it. We start off the week today with the moon in Gemini, 29 degrees, wrapping up. The moon's going to be in Cancer Tuesday, Wednesday. Okay, really good days because that's where Venus and Jupiter are at. Then the moon goes into Leo Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Very fun, very excited energy, very outside energy. And then the moon goes into Virgo Saturday, Sunday. Okay, that's where things get a little wonky, things get a little tight, a little bit more stressed because the moon in Virgo is going to be squaring Sun, Mercury, and Uranus. Saturday, Sunday. That's where things get a little bit more tense. Okay, but that's what I have for you all. Thank you all for being here. I love you all. My great aunt's burial was today. Oh, my great aunt. Rip your great aunt. But yeah, my loves, that's what I got for you. I am hungry. I'm gonna go get some food. Thank you guys for hanging out with me today. We started early at 10 because I was woken up by a car alarm that just kept going off, and I was like, screw it, let's just go ahead and take care of this and do this early. But I love you all so much. Take good care of yourselves. Be well. I'm gonna be doing a sale. I don't know. Should I just make it a Gemini season sale since Gemini season's gonna start? I might make it just a Gemini season sale. I'm gonna be doing a sale where I'm gonna be offering some discounted readings, not only for new clients but also for existing clients. Um, I know money's been tight for a lot of people, and I don't want money or lack thereof to be an issue or to stop people from getting guidance with me. So I'm gonna be doing a sale. I'll probably announce it on Thursday. I'll probably announce it on Thursday, yeah. I'll probably post it and like actually make it available to people on Thursday. But I'll let you know. I'll let y'all know more about that in my stories. So just stay tapped into my stories, okay? But I love you all. I hope you're all doing great. I hope you're all doing amazing. I'm gonna be moving back to LA in a few months, so I think this month and next month are gonna be my last um are gonna be my last months here in Portland, and then moving back to LA. Do I do rectification for birth timings? No, I do not. I have not studied that. Um, I'm I've like helped a few people kind of get in the ballpark of it, but I don't do chart rectification because there you that needs that's like you gotta put a lot of time into doing chart rectification. And it takes like a lot of work. Like, you know, astrologers, I can recommend you though, someone though. So just DM me. And I can recommend you someone that does do chart rectifications. I'll recommend you someone that's been an astrologer for many years as well, because it takes a lot of years experience. But what they do chart rectification is if you don't know your birth time, you work with an astrologer and they research your life and they will, they'll ask you tons of questions and they'll give you you'll give them a timeline of your life. And based on that information, they will use your date of birth and they'll come up with the rising sign for you. So they'll rectify your birth time. That's what chart rectification is. But yeah, I don't do that. So yeah. But love you all so much. Yes, I'm moving back to LA. Portland is just not for me. Oh, you don't have an exact time? Oh yeah, you definitely the most if you can get an exact time, that's the best. That just unlocks your chart. You can still get a chart reading done without your exact time, but it just probably won't resonate. It won't hit as much as if you do have your birth time. I was watching this video. It was so funny. There was this guy. He was talking about. He was like saying how he was like, "Oh, well, it would be so easy to be." He was like, "It would be so easy to be loyal in Portland, Oregon." He's like, "It would be so easy to be loyal in this city because everyone here is ugly." He was like, he was like, everyone here is either dressed like Doogie Howser, they're dressed like it was so funny. He was like what he was saying. And honestly, I feel that. I feel that so deeply. Like maybe it's just because I grew up in LA. I just I grew up around pretty people. I don't know what to say. I'm used to pretty people, you know? I grew up in LA where everyone's beautiful, everyone's pretty, everyone takes care of themselves, everyone has good teeth, everyone has good hygiene, everyone dresses a certain way, you know? And being here in Portland, I feel like outside. I feel weird. I feel different. I feel like an outsider. I feel like I'm too pretty for this place. I feel like I'm too loud. I feel like my teeth are too clean, too nice. Okay? Like I have not been attracted to one person since I've been here. Not one person. I don't find none of these. For one thing, I don't even like when I meet a guy. I don't even know. I'm like, are you a man? Are you a man? I don't even know if you're a man. You might be a man. The men look like women, and the women look like men over here. Okay, it's very interesting. There's a little bit of a gender a collective gender reversal that's happening here in Portland. Okay, it's in the I don't is it in the water? It might be in the I don't drink the water for that reason. You know, like it's very interesting. It's a very interesting place, I must say. It's very androgynous. It is. Okay, it's very, very androgynous. And yes, I am a gay man. Yes, I'm LGBT, but I'm a man at the end of the day. I got a beard, I got a mustache. I like being a man. I enjoy being a man. And I'm attracted to men that look like men. I am. I'm attracted to men that look like men. And the men over here in Portland, Oregon don't look like men. They're not very, they're not really, not much of a man, not much of a woman. And that's fine. That's okay. It's just, I'm not attracted to that. That's not my type. So yeah, it's been a little weird for me. It's been a little weird for me. The other thing that's been a little weird about being here in the Pacific Northwest is I grew up in a very multicultural neighborhood in LA. LA in of itself is multicultural, but my particular neighborhood that I grew up in was very like my school was the most diverse school in California. It was 20% Asian, 20% white, 20% black, 20% Latino. It was like 20% everything. It was just mixed. Okay. And here we're at in this particular part of Portland I'm in, very little to no diversity. And you could feel it in the air. You can feel the lack of cultural diversity, and you can also taste it in the food. I hate to say it, but I like Portland cuisine for a particular reason, but it doesn't compare in any way, shape, or form to LA cuisine. Okay, it just doesn't. Everything tastes better in LA. I hate to say it, but it's true. There's something about the culture of Portland where the food just isn't seasoned. I hate to say it. The food isn't seasoned. I have to say, and I would say the same thing about Italy. I went to Italy, it was the same thing. There's no seasoning in the food. It's bland. It doesn't taste like nothing. Okay? And I think this is because I grew up in LA where they put a whole bunch of salt and sugar and they put like you have 10 different sauces to dip things in, right? Like but it's I'm a little spoiled. I'm a little spoiled. I get it. My taste buds, they're a little, over seasoned, I think. So when I go to places in the world where they're just cooking with very little ingredients or where there's not a lot of like seasoning or flavor in the food, I just please can just take me back. And I cannot, being a Latino man and growing up in a Latino household and being from LA, which is very rooted in Mexican culture, and the food is very rooted in Mexican culture. Let me tell you, the farther away you get from the border, the worse Mexican food gets. I'm going to be honest with you, okay? Do not have Mexican food on the East Coast and do not eat Mexican food in the Pacific Northwest. You are not going to be happy with what you taste. You're going to be very unsatisfied. You're going to be disappointed. It's going to make you, and if you're passionate the way I am, it's going to make you angry. Okay. I cannot tell you how many Mexican food places I've gone to here where I was just left so unfulfilled and so disappointed and so frustrated and angry. Because, like, how dare you serve me this knowing the color of my skin? How dare you serve me this food without some fucking see? Why is there no spice in this? Why is there no bite in this taco, in this menudo? And there should be a little bit of a kick, a little bit of something. Where's the tapatio on the counter? Come on. Why does this enchilada taco taste sweet? It shouldn't taste like that. It should taste a little spicy. Okay. I have my qualms with the Pacific Northwest. I have my qualms with Portland, Oregon. The people here are not for me. Clearly, they're not for me. Okay. I think I'm overly confident. I think I'm too much of myself. I think I'm too much. And my personality, my character is great for places where people are too much, like places like New York, places like Miami, places like LA, people that just like have big personalities, a lot of charisma. They're just taking up space. Okay. Here in Portland, oh, don't be too loud. Oh, don't shine too bright. Oh, don't wear too many bright colors. Oh, don't be too confident. Because let me tell you, one of the things I've realized, the majority of people here in Portland are extremely fucking insecure. And most of the people around my age or younger are very insecure. These people do not know themselves. And they feel it's a very disconnected, overly polite to the point where the politeness is rooted in insecurity. You know, it takes boldness and confidence to be rude. It does. Those that are excessively insecure, they're polite to the because it's rooted in insecurity. Because they want to be so polite and so not themselves. It's like a weird energy. It's like weird. It's weird. It's a funk. It's a weird. It's a weird energy. It's like a politeness that has like a I don't know. It's just it's a I have to find the words for it. But one of the things I've realized is like the people in this city do not reflect me in any way, shape, or form. And I do not identify with anything in this city energy wise. The personalities of the people, the way they dress, the style, the look, the food, the culture. Everyone here is an alcoholic, by the way, as well. That's the other thing. I don't drink alcohol. I'm not a drinker. I only drink very rarely when I'm out with friends, but I'm not an alcohol person. Everyone here in Portland, Oregon, to cope with the shitty weather is a drunk. Everyone here drinks alcohol. My neighbors in the courtyard just a few days ago were having a full-blown alcoholic thing in the courtyard. I'm not a fan of alcohol. I don't like alcohol. I'm not a drinker. Okay. And the only time that I think people here are ever comfortable with themselves are when they're drunk. And it seems like everyone's drinking all the time. That's why there's so many beer gardens over here. There's a fucking beer garden every corner. Okay. So if you are someone like me, you don't drink alcohol, okay? You are a person of the sun, you like light, okay? You're a little confident, a little loud, got a little too much character, too much charisma. Don't move here, okay? Don't move here. Or even if you're like someone who just kind of like knows themselves a little too much, I don't know. It's just a weird energy. It's a weird energy, you know? And everywhere I go, I just feel like I need to like tone it down because I just feel like I stick out like a sore thumb and I'm just being too loud and I'm being too much. And maybe, I don't know, it could just all be in my own fucking head. It could be just me, you know? But I never felt this way when I'm in any other city. I've never felt this way in LA. I've never felt this way when I visited New York. I never felt that way. I never felt that I just never felt that way anywhere else. It's weird. It's a weird energy. Yeah, Portland is just not for me. This is not my personality. It's not my character. You know. Also, the other thing, people here don't have faith. Very few people believe in God. Very few people have a relationship with God or even have any kind of concept. I cannot tell you how many kind of people I've run into. Also, astrologers, tarot readers, okay, that are on the witchy side of things, which is beautiful, but they don't they're like connecting to gods and deities and energies that are not like that I don't know. I'm just gonna say it like that. I don't know. What I do know is that they're more scientific, logical, agnostic, atheist. I would even say to the extreme, some of them also worship or connect to darker energies, darker forces. That's not me. My practice, my practice of astrology and tarot is rooted in my relationship to God. It's rooted in my relationship to the divine and spirit. Okay. And what I've noticed is even other astrologers and tarot readers that I've connected to here, they don't have that relationship. They're no. And also they feel it's weird because when I try to talk to them about it, it's very uncomfortable, you know? Like, okay, well, what faith, what spirituality is your practice rooted in? What gods are you Working with. Oh, okay. Well, that's not for me. I'm good. Okay, I'm good. I don't, and I think it's maybe it's a little bit of naivete on my part. Maybe it's a little bit of like misunderstanding, or maybe it's like I just don't understand it. But all I know is it's not giving me the energy of the light. It's not giving me the energy of love. It's not giving me the energy of the light. It's not giving me that energy. It's giving me a very much a dark, depressive, negative energy. And I don't want to partake. Not for me. Thank you. Appreciate it. Not for me. For you, but not for me. Right? So that's why I was like, I gotta go back. I gotta go back to the sun. I'm coming back to LA. I gotta go back to the sun. So I'll be there in a few months. I'll be there in a few months. Okay. But yeah, you gotta really live in a place to understand if it's your energy, you gotta really live in a place, you know what I mean? The entire West Coast runs on my Saturn line, going all the way up from Seattle, going all the way down to San Diego. Okay, this is all on my Saturn line. So yeah, the Tillamook factory tour was great. Also, I love Cannon Beach. Cannon Beach is beautiful. I do love parts of this. I love the parks, and I love the greenery, and there are things that I do love. I love the Rose Garden. I There's a lot of things I do love here. The Asian food is also amazing, like Chinese food, Korean food. Oh my God, amazing over here. Okay, there are things that I do love. My overall sentiment and energy, though, is I'm good. You know, I think I just came here to grieve, really. I lost my dog in 2022. I lost a dog, not the one I have now, but I lost a dog in 2022, and I moved immediately after that, and I came up here a few months after he passed, and I was really grieving. 2020, 2023, 2024 were about grief for me, and I'm out of that energy now. I've done grieved everything I could. My grandmother passed, my dog passed, my grandma passed in 2023, a year later. Yeah, it's already been 3 years, 4 years since then. And I feel like I'm done with that, And to me, Portland and even this apartment, which I love, that's why it's been so hard to leave, is I love this. I love my apartment. It's just so beautiful. It's symbolic of a chapter of my life that was more about endings and grief and taking me deeper into my spiritual journey in a way to where I had to go like into the darkness, you know? But I'm like done with that. And I feel it so deeply. Like that chapter is done. I'm over that chapter, and so spirits tell me it's time to move, it's time to go, you know. You don't need to be here anymore. Whatever this city had for me, I'm done. I'm done with it. It gave me whatever I needed, and now I'm ready to go. You know. So yeah. So I'm gonna be moving back to LA and be staying with my parents for a few months, but we'll see how long that lasts. I like having my own place, you know what I mean? And I was talking to my mom about it. I was like, I think I'm just gonna get my own place. I'll be with you guys for a few months, but I'm gonna end up just getting my own place because I love having my own space. I love being my own energy, And I also think it's good for people that have Pisces placements, 12th house placements. Um, I think it's good for 12th house Pisces people. It's good for them to have their own sanctuary, their own sacred space. Like if they're able to, it's good for them to live alone. I think it's really good for them. You don't have to worry about the food. Nope. It gave you the solitude and nature you needed to ground and release grief. Yeah, it did. It did. To ground and to really be in because I didn't even I was so busy like when my dog passed in 2022. I was so busy like tending to like my family's emotions and their needs, and then I was still like working and doing clients, and I was like transitioning into like being a full-time, spiritual worker, tarot reader at that time. I had just left a banking job for the second time, I think, that March or April, like a few months prior to that. I think I had just left a banking job that I was working for, I think like 6 or 7 months, and they were going to hire me full time. And I was like, nope, this is my exit point. This is where I got to go. And so, like, there was so much focus on like work and productivity and everything else that I didn't get to really like grieve. And it wasn't until like I was like alone in my apartment and that it really hit me, and that I was like the grief of, my dog's passing and all that really hit me. And then the next year my grandma passed. As a 12th house gal, I evolved and I moved out and started living alone. Yeah, I think it's really good for Pisces and 12th house people to live alone. I think it's good for their energy, or to at least give themselves have a space in their life, a room or whatever, where they can be alone and kind of recuperate their energy and be in their own vibe. I think it's really good for them. But I'm ready for new life. I'm ready for something new. I'm ready for new connections. I'm ready for a relationship now. I really do think I'm ready for a relationship. A lot of these tacky men I was dealing with over the last couple years. I'm just ready for something new. Ready for something new. Ready for a new man to enter my life. That's the real reason why I need to be traveling, been going overseas and stuff, because I am ready to meet a man. I'm ready to meet a lover. It's been so long. Why is this processing? Interesting. How do people in relationships get alone time for Pisces placements 12th house? It's hard. I actually have a client to our couple, and the girlfriend, or the female side of the relationship, she's a 12 houser, and that's one of the things I have to talk to them about. Um, when I was doing it was like a synastry relationship counseling session, which is something I still need to add. I haven't added yet. I'm just trying to figure out the timing, like how long the sessions are going to be to fit into my calendar. But one of the things I had to help her and him explain, I had to explain to him and her, was her need for alone time and for her need to be in her own energy. And she was like, "Yeah, sometimes I just want to be by myself." And he takes it personal. His feelings get hurt and he feels like rejected and stuff because he wants to be like together. He's very much of we're together all the time type of person. That's the way his chart is built. Where her chart is like, I can't be caught up in your life and get absorbed into your life. I need to be apart. I need to have my own space. I need to have my own energy. I need to have my own life. I need to have my own thing apart from this, so I can like don't lose myself into the relationship, because that's a 12th house thing, right? It's a Pisces thing. A 12th house thing too is like, when you're a 12th house or in a Pisces, when you're Pisces energy, it's like you can lose yourself into a job, you can lose yourself into a relationship with your parents, you can lose yourself into a relationship with someone else. Like you can literally totally abandon everything about yourself, your own independence, your own individuality, your own person. You can literally just get absorbed into this, like, into a relationship, into a job, into something else, right? So what I was explaining is kind of like I was kind of explaining this to them. I was kind of explaining like, her need for space and independence, and her need for alone time to so that she knows herself, right? So she can be grounded within herself. So she can be aware of herself, right? Like she needs that so that she could show up for the relationship. Because what happens with when Pisces people and when 12th house people, when they feel consumed by relationship or overwhelmed by relationship, you know what they do? They end up sabotaging it. They also end up avoiding it, and they end up becoming very distant, and they kind of force that distance in different ways because they're not getting the physical distance, they're not being given the boundaries, not being given the space to be their own person and be in their own energy, what they start to do is they start to avoid, they start to run away, they start to escape, to reclaim that space. And it looks like, they're being distant. It looks like they're being avoidant. It looks like they're being whatever, whatever, right? But what they're really needing is just space. They need to be in their own energy. They need to recoup their energy by being alone because being in relationship to others is very draining and very exhausting for Pisces people and for 12th house people. So it can be really hard to understand that as a partner. So I was trying to explain this. I had to explain this to him because like he has a chart that's like very confident, right? He has a chart. He's like a 10th houser, like me, 10th. He's a ninth. He's a 11, 9, 9, 10, 11 house person. So he's like very confident and very bossy, and he wants things to go his way. And my life is my own, and he's very out, lives out loud, and he's very in the public eye and all that. She's a 12 houser. She wants to be alone. She doesn't want to always go to the parties. She doesn't always want to be on display. She doesn't always want, she needs her own little sacred space. She wants to be in the temple. She wants to be at church on Sundays. She wants to be in her own little energy sometimes, right? So it's kind of what I was helping them understand when I was breaking down their synastry and kind of doing this like what became a relationship counseling session, helping them understand just how different they are and how based on their charts they both have different needs. And instead of trying to force the other person to be like this or whatever, we need to meet the other person where they're at based on their chart and based on what they need and what the relationship needs, you know? Because if you can honor the individual, if the individual if each individual in a relationship is honored and feels respected and feels appreciated and feels like their needs are getting met, then the relationship in itself grows and thrives, right? Each individual needs to feel like they are benefiting, like they are being treated with respect, like they are getting something good out of the relationship, right? Then the relationship grows and thrives. When an individual within a relationship doesn't feel like they're getting their needs met, doesn't feel respected, doesn't feel like their boundaries are being met, or just feels like they're getting tapped out or drained or exhausted, it creates resentment, it creates betrayal, and then one person wants to run away and escape, and then that's how we get cheating, you know? Because when people cheat, it's usually because they're seeking something from a connection from someone else that they're not getting in their relationship. And most simply put, it's usually something around sex or pleasure or desire. That's a very basic way to see it, right? But sometimes we actually push people away because we're not giving them space. We're not letting them be themselves. We're not letting them be independent, right? And you'll see this. We end up sabotaging relationships a lot of time. We end up sabotaging our relationships because, you know, we're not letting our partner be an individual in the way that they want to be an individual, right? So all of a sudden you're not letting them go out with their friends, they can't do this, they can't do it's like at what and then all of a sudden we're like, using the relationship as a bargaining tool, which is I can't my cousin told me that they did this and I had to call them out so quickly and I was like, that is incredibly toxic behavior. You never want to weigh your relationship or use your relationship as leverage against things. Like making someone choose between their kids or a relationship. Making someone choose between the relationship with the parents or relationship with you. Making someone choose between like you either have this or that. Like I had to sit my cousin down and I had to give them a good talking to because that is the most toxic behavior ever. And it's sabotaging. You know, when you are trying to make someone choose between you, something else that they value, that they appreciate, that they love, that's in their life, and like the relationship, it's like you're testing someone. It's like you're testing the relationship. It's ridiculous and it's very, very immature. And what it really says is like it really says that you lack confidence, that you lack security in the relationship. It really says that, or it could also be used as a tool of control. I think that's how my cousin was using it, as a tool of control. But it's just weird. It's weird behavior, right? But anyways, it's important that we give people the space to be themselves, that we kind of honor their individual needs within the space of relationship. A lot of times when we get into a relationship with someone, we expect them to just abandon and forget everything that came before the relationship. And that, no, I'm sorry. It doesn't work. Just because you started dating someone and just because you met someone and you're in a relationship with them now, doesn't mean they're going to abandon and let go of everything that came before the relationship. You know what I mean? I think it's ridiculous for someone to be like, "Hey, now that we're dating, you need to prioritize me and you need to like let your kids be second priority." That is crazy to me. That if anyone ever told me that, you might as well already consider us broken up. Like I don't even know why we thought dating was a good idea at that point, you know? Like that's crazy to me. A lot of really weird things that people do. But anyways, it's important that we honor individual needs even with when we're within the space of a relationship, you know? If both people are happy in a relationship, the relationship is going to thrive and grow, you know? We can't abandon ourselves, we can't abandon our individuality just to be in partnership with others. It never works. It really never works and it always backfires, you know? I will tell you, and I'm going to tell you not from my experience, so I'm going to tell you from the experience I've had with doing so many readings and working with so many people over so many years, you know? Why does my dog always do that? He always like looks up, and I'm like, what are you looking at? He always does that. He was doing it yesterday. Yesterday he was on the couch and he kept like looking up at my painting. I'm like, what are you looking at? Is there a spirit? Is someone talking to you? Like, what's going on? You know? All right, my loves. I'm gonna leave it here because now we're just speaking on he's looking at me now. He's looking at me now. Now we're just talking, we're just speaking random stuff, you know. An angel. Come here, Gilbert. Come here, handsome. No, he's not gonna come. I mean, oh, wait. Oh, oh. Come here, Bubba. Oh, hi. Oh, he's moving. Hi, handsome. Good morning. Come here. Let's see if he comes. Come here. Anybody else own Shih Tzus or have Shih Tzus? Oh, 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 he's coming. Oh, he's coming. Oh, he's got to get the stretching. Oh, there he is. There he is. There's the handsome boy. Dude, they're so stubborn. Holy moly, these dogs are incredibly stubborn. You tell them to do something, you ask them to do something, and they're like, they sit there and they think about it. And they're like, Most of the time it's no, but then they'll be like, okay, sure, I guess. Hi, handsome. Come here, my baby. Come here, my baby. Ah, look at him. Ah, ah. Here he is. There's the man himself. Mwah, there's a little baby himself. You see him? Can you believe he came? He never used to let me pick him up. Oh yeah, they give you the side eye too. They'll be like, they'll roll your eyes at you too. Look at him. Look at the boy. Look at the boy. Say hi, little Bubba. Say hi, little Bubba. Say hi, little Bubba. Mwah. Put him down. Oh, he's heavy. When I first got him, he weighed 13 and a half pounds. I took him to the doctor last month. Yeah, I think it was the end of last month. He weighs 17 pounds. 13 and a half, 14, 15, 16. He gained 13 and a half. He gained 4.5 pounds since I've had him. Over what? It's been a year and a half? I think he's been eating. I think he's been eating good. He's been eating good. He's been eating good. Yeah, so I got him on a diet right now. He's only eating a meal and a half a day. I was giving him two full meals a day, but he eats like a big breakfast, lunch, and like a smaller dinner. As he gained some weight, he's a little fat. He's a little chunky. I couldn't even tell though. I didn't even notice that he was that he had gained weight. But my mom, what's up, Bubba? Look at him. He wants to come back up. Come here, hands up. Oh, he wants to come back up here. I had no idea. I didn't even realize that he had gained weight. But when I took him home on Christmas, my mom was like, "Your dog is looking kind of big." I was like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "Yeah, he's looking like he gained weight." I'm like, "He did not gain weight. How dare you?" And then I took him to the vet, and yep, he's 17 pounds. He picked up a few pounds, huh, Bubba? He's been eating good. Look at him yawning. See, when they yawn like this, when they yawn like that, that means they're in a good mood. That means they're happy. He knows I'm talking about him. Look at him. He knows I'm talking about him. Huh, Bubba? Look at Bubba. Look at oh, see hi to the people. Look at the people. He is a little heavier though. I gotta say, he is a little heavier. He is a little heavier from when I got him. You know, he's eating good though. Huh, Bubba? He's eating good. Huh? He's eating good. All right, beautiful people. For those of you, you hear him do his little. He makes these little noises when I pick it up now. This is for the YouTube, for the people on the YouTube who watch the very end, so you guys can see him. Look at this little boy. Look at the little chunky boy. Look at the little chunky boy. Picking him up like this would have been a no-no a year ago. You guys remember when I used to pick him up and he would growl? He'd be like, "Rrr, rrr, rrr." Huh? Now he's fine. Huh? Now he's good. Now he's good. He doesn't growl at me like that no more. Yeah, he rarely growls, if ever. Like where he used to be growling all the time. He used to be a little grumpy grouch, always growling, but now he barely growls. Huh, blah, blah. All right. I love you guys. Thank you guys for spending time with me today. I will see y'all. I will see y'all soon. I'll see you on the flip side. I'll see you on the flip side. Okay? Have a good day. Have a good day. Have a good day. Take care of yourselves. Be well. I'll see you around.